Manus AI, the 4.5-hour course. Now, what I'm going to show you is how to build out stuff like you can see right here with this game. This one as well, it's like a Mario-themed Minecraft game. We've created SaaS tools that are worth over $100 million. I'll talk about that later in this video. How to build and deploy websites, presentations, and reports and deep research, plus this whole agency website like you can see right here. And all of this didn't cost me a penny. So we're going to get straight into that. This course is going to teach you everything you need to know about Manus AI, how this AI agent works, some of the stuff that I've created, some of my best examples, how to get access, and even if you can't get an invitation code, I will show you 4 different alternatives to Manus so you can actually install locally and run online, and some of them don't even require any coding setup. So either way, this course actually covered on everything you'd possibly want to know about Manus. Now, if you want to understand, okay, how does this work? How is it so powerful? So, for example, I can build like crazy $1 million SaaS products in the space of one single prompt using Manus. So, for example, here you can say I've said create an SEO content writer, and bear in mind, like Jasper, which is a similar SEO content writer, that actually raised $125 million, and it was valued at 1.5 billion. Now you can build that sort of stuff and customize it to whatever you want using Manus and this AI agent, and you don't need to be able to code or anything like that. You can also build apps, games, tools. I'll show you examples of that later in this course, and you can see an example of the prompt we used right here to build this. Now, it literally went off, executed all the commands, created all the files, coded the front end, coded the back end, created the whole thing, and even deployed it like you can see right here, right? So super powerful stuff. It launched it on a subdomain, so manus.computer, and all we had to do was give it one single prompt like you can see right here. All of this is customized to work. If you want to see other examples, I've actually included that inside the AI Profit Boardroom with links to all this stuff. So let me pull up some of these examples that we've published online right here. So we actually created a medieval game like you can see right here. You can use the arrows, you can navigate, really easy and simple to do. Got a nice little castle in the background there as well. Here's another one. So we actually created another content writer like you see. You can just plug in your API key, type in your keyword, and it will generate SEO content for you. And you can see this is all optimized to us, our website. It's even got links to our funnels. Like you can see, super powerful stuff. And again, all this stuff was like coded in 1 or 2 prompts, like really, really simple. Here's another example. So this is an SEO directory website, and I'll show you how I built all of these and all the prompts and everything else. So this is an SEO directory website, recommends our SEO agency as the best one in each city, compares all the options, wrote all the content, designed it, coded it, hosted it. It's even hosted on manus.space, so we don't need to pay for a domain if we didn't want to. And here's another one. So we actually got Manus to go off, do some deep research across the web, and look at how Manus AI agents could totally change the world. This is a personal website I actually built that's actually coded and looks nicer designed than my main website. And you can see a bunch of other stuff that's been hosted and published online right here. Pretty crazy. I mean, it can even write in like multiple different languages as well. Now, if you want to get access to Manus, just click in the Get Started section right there, and then you can apply. I think they do have a waiting list right now, but you can apply. And also later in this course, we'll cover 4 different options that you can use to get access to an alternatives to Manus, right? So if you want something similar to Manus, like an AI agent that automates a lot of things for you, I'll show you how to set this up, how to use it, etc. I mean, here's an example of another cool thing. So this is Super Mario with Minecraft, basically. And you can see us moving around, jumping around, having a great time. Game works perfectly. And how powerful is that? How crazy is that AI can just automate all of it? If you also want to see the replays of how people built this stuff, you can click on the homepage of Manus, which is available at manus.im. And then, for example, you see here someone's just said, can you make me a Super Mario game, but in Minecraft style? And it just goes off and does its magic. So some people are asking, like, how can I get access to Manus AI? Well, currently, Manus AI requires an invitation code to access it. You can join the waitlist, or you can use some of the alternatives I'll show you later in this video. There are actually several alternatives, including Open Manus, which is a free open source alternative. And I'll show you different tools and automations that you can use. Each of them has different capabilities, and I'll explain the differences between each one and compare them versus Manus. Also, you might say, well, is this available for download? So Manus is primarily a web-based tool that runs in your browser. There are tons of other different options as well, locally hosted, and I'll show you some web browser-based alternatives as well later in this video. And you might say, well, what makes Manus as an AI agent different versus others? And the difference here is like it's autonomous. It can complete very complex tasks. It breaks them down into steps, and unlike traditional LLMs, right, it can browse the web, create websites, write code, execute multi-step workflows without constant guidance. And also it can deploy that stuff as well, like you can see right here. You can also see how it figures out all the tasks required from one single prompt. So if we go over here, we've got the prompt. It tells you everything that it's doing. It also shows you which stage it's at, plus how much time it's spent on that. And you might also ask, okay, are there any usage limits? Well, it seems to be something like 3 prompts a day from what I've seen. So it depends how many people are using it, what the server load is like so far. But yeah, it seems to be like a few prompts a day. And also, you might be asking, okay, but do you need like any technical knowledge to use these sort of tools? And from what I've seen, you don't really need any technical knowledge at all, right? So for example, if I create like a local SEO directory, all I have to do is give Manus the requirements of what I want, and then it will just go off and do it. I'll also show you how you can make money with Manus as well, because, if this is creating an amazing service, it's actually better than most humans, because most humans would not be able to code and deploy and build a customized website to you in the matter of minutes, whereas Manus actually can. And I'll show you how to make money with those sort of services later in this video. Manus AI is breaking the internet. So what I'm going to show you today is some of the new ways that Manus has been used lately. It's some really cool stuff. I'll also be running on some other stuff too, including some examples of what people have created and how they've created it and how you can use Manus. Now, if you don't have an invite code yet, check out the AI Profit Board. And we've actually got a SOP on exactly how to set up Open Manus, which is kind of like a localized version. Now, if you're not familiar what Manus is, then you can essentially connect Claude with a bunch of other APIs. I believe from what some people have said as well, it's jailbroken as well in some ways. And so this AI agent is really autonomous in the way that it creates stuff, right? So let me show you an example. So this is an example where someone said, create an interactive simulation visualization of the moon's current state and where it is relative to the Earth. It should be a 3D visualization with the option to turn the camera and the like, right? The Earth and the moon should have realistic textures, blah, blah, blah. And you can see this was created in one prompt. It's not like you're, for example, going back and forth between ChatGPT or anything like that. This was literally created in one single prompt. Now, when you see the output, it's absolutely wild. So let me show you the output here. This is the output of the moon. You can flip between it. It's like 3D. It works perfectly. And you can see it's got the current moon phase there as well. So you see the full moon and which part of the cycle, the lunar cycle, is up to, with the moon just gravitating around the Earth and the Earth spinning. And look at the chat right here. So one prompt, then we keep scrolling down, and there's no real back and forth. It just goes off and creates it basically perfectly. How wild is that? And then it's a visualization. It's permanently deployed here. Here's the features. Here's an overview of what we've done, etc. And it's deployed it like perfectly, basically. So if you haven't tested this out yet, you're definitely missing out. But if you need like an invite, if you're waiting for an invite or you're worrying, okay, like how do I get access to this? It's only in invitation mode only, right? So for example, if you actually sign up, I heard something crazy, 2 million people are on the waiting list. And if you want like a different version of this, you can actually use Open Manus. I have a full tutorial video on exactly how to set up, plus an SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments and description. But essentially, you can see how powerful this is. This is not just good for creating random images of the moon floating around, which is super impressive, but also you can build so much more cool stuff with this. So if we go to get started, I'll show you what I've created in my login here. So for example, this is one of the other scary things. This is better and more powerful than any other virtual assistant I've ever hired. If we scroll through here, you can see this does way better research than ChatGPT, or more in-depth research than any virtual assistant or executive assistant I've hired. Bear in mind as well, I was quoted, I think, about $100,000 to get a really good virtual assistant or a really good executive assistant. Now I can just replace that, Manus AI, and it will do the job. It doesn't take weekends off. It can do multiple things at once. It's not going to complain about multitasking at the same time. And nothing, my friends, nothing drops off the to-do list because it can just get it all done right here. Then also, if we want to go back, for like, where's the notes, etc., then we can scroll down to the previous example, right? So if we go in here, this is a website actually created in like one click using these autonomous AI agents. It was deployed, it was coded, it was created, it was all visualized using Manus AI. Absolutely wild stuff. And that is not the end of it, my friends. So I'm going to show you another example here. This is actually a Pokemon store that someone created, right? So let me pull this up for you. Someone said, can you please build me a fully functioning website to sell Pokemon cards on? I would like to be like this site, right? And they've asked for a clone of a site, I believe. Something like that. It's gone off, it's coded it, it's created it. You can see it working. This isn't real time. This is way faster than real time. Honestly, it's going to take you about, I would say, anywhere between 10 minutes and 30 minutes to create something like this. But once it's done, it's some of the best stuff we've ever seen, right? So if we pull this up, it's running through the to-do list, it's creating everything, it's coding it all. And then the output is absolutely insane. For example, if we pull this up, let me show you the output here. So this is the website that was created at the end. We're just going to skip to results. All right, and if we scroll down and skip to the results right here, where is it now? Let's find this deployed website. Here we go. That's the result. And you see, this is the website that was created. If we click on this, for example, it's created a full e-commerce store with tons of different products, right? So these are all different products. It's got the pricing, it's got the rarity rating on the Pokemon card, nice little set of reviews there, pricing. You can add stuff to the cart. So if I click on add cart, you can see I've added one actually earlier today. We've got a little shiny Charizard sitting in the cart right there. So if you're in the e-commerce space, this is going to disrupt everything for you. Honestly, I don't know how many people watching this have an e-commerce store, but previously we'd spend like a whole weekend setting up Shopify, messing around with that, creating different things. And now you've got a whole e-commerce store set up in one single click. The blog post doesn't seem to work, but you have got like an opt-in. It's created all the footer and everything as well. And then, yeah, full navigation bar as well. So it's absolutely wild. And then if you go to checkout, we've got the pricing. And it doesn't stop there. We've got more to show you, but I just wanted to crack straight into that. So next up, what I'm going to show you is a game that was created called Missile Command. I'm just going to mute this. It does actually have sound on the game. I don't want to play the sound during a live stream because it's not going to sound very good. But for example, if we have a look at the prompt for this, let me pull it up for you. In fact, I haven't got the prompts. I don't think I've got the original chat for this, but this is basically a game that was created. You can see it's hosted on Manus Space. That's how you know this was created with Manus Space, right? Now, I know a lot of people are saying, for example, Manus is just like a wrapper of Claude or ChatGPT, and it's just linked to 29 different tools, so it's not that special. But bear in mind, if you ask ChatGPT or you ask Claude to create something like this, all it's going to do is give you a plan, and maybe if you're lucky, Claude will deploy it. But ChatGPT is not going to deploy this for you. It's not going to code it off for you, and you're going to be going back and forth with lots of errors for ages and ages. Whereas, for example, if we were looking at that website we built previously, the Pokemon cards one, how many times have we gone back and forth inside the chat here? Like maybe once, twice? That's it. Pretty wild. The same, for example, with this interactive 3D moon Earth simulation you've got here, right? That actually works perfectly. If you have a look at this, the only time someone's gone back and forth in the chat there is like once. That's it, literally once. You can see how much more autonomous this is. You literally just, you give it the prompt, it goes off, it creates it, and before you know it, you've got this bad boy set up right here. So this is called Missile Command. It says, defend your cities from incoming missiles, use the mouse to aim and click and fire, press P to pause, all right? We've got the instructions right there. It's kind of like an old school game. Imagine if you were coding a Mega Drive game in the back, right? How long would this take to create? Like back in the day, if you were back in the 80s and you got this massive games company like Sony, who were the only ones who were able to invest resources into creating games like this. And then you got like maybe 10, 20 developers all building it out, testing it out for months, and then finally you launch it, right? That was what it was like back in the day. Now, everything has changed because it's just you and your brain and your ideas. And you're like, okay, let's take that idea from my brain and plug it into Manus. Now, one of the other things that I would say here is you look at the definition of power. The definition of power is the speed between your idea and action, right? So, for example, on the extreme side of things, like if you were looking at a god would be able to just literally create something as soon as it thinks about it, right? Whatever religion you are. But with Manus, you've basically got one idea and then you create something as soon as you have that idea, right? And that's the difference. And you can see this game works basically perfectly, right? We're not playing games here. We are playing games, but you get the point. We can play with this 3D animation. It works perfectly. I'm actually talking to you whilst playing it. I can press P to pause it if I just want to pause it and then switch over to the camera and talk to you. But that's pretty impressive. Like, I know a lot of people hate on the self-playing Snake game and that sort of thing, but this is genuinely creating something of value that people would genuinely play. When I was back in school, I'd play worse games than this on whatever it was, like all these Flash games that used to come out back in the day. So the power of this stuff is absolutely unbelievable. And this is just working perfectly. Now, if you wanted to create something that's more 3D, for example, a 3JS game, I'm going to pause this. You don't want to lose your progress on the game, mate. Let's press P to pause that. And then if we go back to the chats over here, I've actually got a bunch of things that I've created in the past, right? And one of them, if we go into the AI Profit Boardroom, SOPs, and then you can see my creations I've actually made here. So we've actually created this fantasy game example. And this one is kind of like a 3JS game, right? So we can basically move around, right? It looks like a post box. It doesn't look like much of a character. I didn't go back and forth much in the chat, but you get the point. Like I could just go around the forest. We can zoom in, we can zoom out. We can see what's popping. Zoom right in with that geezer right there. It's a little bit too close for my liking. And then we can go through the forest, or we can go through the castle. And it is deployed on a Manus subdomain as well. So that's the other thing here is like, this is being hosted on a Manus subdomain, which is pretty cool because like, how much would you pay to get a website hosted? Probably, I would say minimum you're going to be paying is $7, probably going to be more like $10, something like that. So you get the point. Like, it's absolutely awesome. One thing I will say that has been a little bit annoying with Manus today, because I wanted to show you some more cool stuff, was that I only seem to be able to create one thing at once, right? So, for example, I actually went into the chat here, asked it to create something, and it said you have reached the maximum daily usage limit, and I only created like one thing today. That was it. So just something to bear in mind there is like, it seems like we can only create one thing at once. And also sometimes when you deploy applications, so for example, this is an application right here, and the front end and the back end is deployed, but it's only deployed temporarily. That's not hosted on a permanent subdomain. And the way that you can tell that is if it's manus.computer or manus.space. If it's manus.computer, that is just an app that's hosted temporarily. If it's manus.space, like for example this, then it's hosted permanently on that subdomain, right? Which means that you can come back to it, you can bookmark it, you can play around with it, etc. Now, the other thing about this is that we've built money-making websites using this process. So for example, if I type in AI Profit Boardroom inside here, I actually created this website using Manus and literally just gave it some information about me. It did most of the research because it's connected to the web, like you can see. And it's pretty nicely designed, looks good. It links directly to our funnels, like you can see. And it is a money-making website designed to convert, nicely built, hosted it on Netlify. Actually did that during a live stream, I think. And then you can see within less than 24 hours, this was ranking number 2 for our target keyword. It was only outranked by the main membership community, like you can see right here, which makes sense because that's where everyone is. By the way, if you haven't joined, you are missing out. There is so much stuff in it. But you get the point. There's all this stuff you can build, like 3D Earth moon visualizations. You got a medieval castle game built right there. We have a Pokemon website ready to go, all set up there. We have a working e-commerce site, and we also have a missile game that actually works and looks pretty cool. That's fairly complex, let's be honest. Now, if you want to see more creations like this, Twitter is a really good place to go. But also, if we go over to Manus, if we type in site:/manus.space inside Google, and we search that, we can actually see all the previous creations. I don't think every single one of them is indexed, but you get the point. There's all these different cool things that have been created and hosted, right? So for example, this is like an IBIT ETF overview, nice little dashboard, right? This was created with Manus Space again, autonomously. Think about this, right? How much would you have paid for a team of SaaS developers like 2 years ago, right? Whereas, for example, now you can just create that and you don't need any people. And that's the scary thing here is jobs are being replaced. If you don't realize that already, jobs are seriously being replaced, and they're being replaced at like lightning speed. This is the worst AI is ever going to be, and it's seriously impressive already. So it's going to absolutely blow people away. I think when people truly realize what's out there and what you can do and how it can be built, etc. This is like a vibe coding SaaS software, it looks like. But yeah, someone's just built out a vibe coding SaaS software website. So obviously you got that SaaS dashboard right there. This seems to be like a portfolio for different games built with AI. So you can see here it says recently created with AI. Then we click on the information about the game, and then we can, this is by Alex Finn actually, shout out to Alex Finn, he's killing it on Twitter, I think. Yeah, shout out to him. And you can see just is a portfolio of everything that's created. Let's have a look. So someone also cloned the Apple Store, which is pretty wild if you ask me. I don't know who did this, but it's full. That's pretty recent as well because it's got the trailer for Severance out there. Shout out to my Severance watchers. I was watching that last night. And then we have a Transformer architecture website. All sorts of crazy stuff in there. Let's have a look what else we got here. So we got a React app built. That doesn't look very good, to be fair. I only want to show you the good stuff. I don't want to show you the bad stuff. Interactive middle school physics. Let's have a look here. So it's got like lesson plans, classroom activities. We can explore simulations. And it's created like all these different physics. We can pause the animation as well, create a whole web page out of it, and we're ready to go on that. The stuff that you can do is just unbelievable with Manus. And if you want to get access to this, I don't think it's available yet for everyone, but you can go to my video and I'll show you again how to create Open Manus in the future. But if you go to my video on the live stream here, actually, this is the wrong channel. Let me show you the real channel. Here we go. If you go to this channel and then go to the live stream here, there's actually a video on Open Manus, right? So if you want to see me set it up in real time, you can watch this video right here. It breaks it down exactly like how to set up Open Manus. And that's kind of like an alternative to Manus. Now, I'll be testing that out today and showing you how to set it up and everything else. And we'll be comparing them side by side. Honestly, do I think it's as good? Probably not. But if there's 2 million people on the waiting list, it might be a while before you get access to this stuff. So just bear that in mind. So thanks so much for watching. So far, we've covered, what Manus is, some of its best creations, how powerful it is, how much better it is than ChatGPT, how scary it is, how it's replacing jobs, and all the cool stuff you can create with it that you can just check out by searching Google /Manus.space. So if you want to get access to my recipe for setting up Open Manus, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the recipe section, and then from there, you're going to go down to Open Manus on the left-hand side, full recipe and a video tutorial on exactly how to set that up. Additionally, if you want to jump on weekly calls with me about AI, you can jump on that right there. If you want to save hundreds of hours to make money with AI, then this is the best community. It's probably the best community I've ever created, I'll be honest with you. So it's really worth checking out. One of the best things I've ever done. And yeah, you can see all these different video tutorials right here as well. And if you want to get a free SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. On this free SEO strategy session, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month, generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you get free SEO domination plan, discover the secrets SEO link building, answer any questions you have, and this is all custom tailored to you, your business, your website, your situation, right? This is not generic stuff. Like when you jump on this call, it's all applied to you, your business, and everything else. So feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. We're going to be talking about how to make money with Manus based on what's working for us, right? So you can see, for example, we actually created this AI automation service landing page using Manus, as you can see right here. And then this links directly to our payment link, like you can see right here. The other thing as well, this is something I created on a live stream the other day with Manus AI. And you can do this with Open Manus if you check out my other video on how to set up Open Manus. So, either way, you don't need to wait for an invitation code. You can make money either way. But if we go over to Google here and we type in AI Profit Boardroom, you find a website ranking number 2 for my target keyword that's also generating money, right? So when people land on this page, they click this button, they buy the AI Profit Boardroom, and then we make money. And this is a completely AI generated website with a completely AI generated video, right? And all the copy on this page is generated with AI, and it was also coded and hosted with AI, really simple and easy to build, and is set up so that we can make money and generate money with it, right? And so if you want to build something like this, let me show you how we built this website step by step. And so I'm going to find the specific page, and there's many other ways to make money with Manus or Open Manus if you don't have access to Manus AI already. But if we go over to this prompt over here, basically what I said inside Manus AI was research Julian Goldie and his AI Profit Boardroom, right? So basically when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you have a product to sell. Now, if you don't have a product to sell, you can just ask Manus to help you set that up, or I'll show you another interesting way to do this step by step as well. But essentially, what you can do is you can say, okay, research Julian Goldie or whatever your product is, whatever you're trying to sell. And then you include the link to sign up so that Manus, when it's building out this website, knows exactly what to link to and how to link to it, etc. Like you can see right here. So this links directly to the CTA, which makes us money. And then you're going to say, okay, don't include any prices because you'll probably update that later and you don't want to have to keep updating Manus every time. Write the copy like Alex Hamosi, include plenty of social proof. And then if you have a video sales letter or any testimonials you want to embed, just ask it to do that too, right? And this will create like a money-making website. Genuinely, like this website that we're showing you made us money, right? And it's pretty easy and simple to set up. And it's also ranking on Google like I showed you as well, right? So to do this, you just get Manus to create the website. Now, the beautiful thing about Manus is, number one, it's connected to the internet. Number two, it can actually deploy the website or give you the website files to host and download. And number three, it writes the copy using Claude. So its API is Claude, which means that it can write the copy really nicely. Like Claude is the best for sales copy, and also designs it super nicely, like you can see right here, right? And so if you want to build like one-page money-making websites, like you can see with this page right here, then you can use Manus to do it. And the prompting method is really, really simple. I'm actually going to take that prompt and I'll plug it into the AI Profit Boardroom inside here. So let me take that prompt. If you just want to copy and customize it to you and your business, let's plug that in. And any of the prompts that I use today, I'll plug inside the AI Profit Boardroom actually for you. But yeah, that is prompt one for a money-making website. And the cool thing about Manus as well is, like, if you don't like what you see, you can just go back and forth with it, right? So for example, if we scroll down here, I did give it some changes. So I asked it to like remove anything about beta prices. Instead of the existing testimonials, use these images, right? So once you quality check it and have a look through it, then you can improve it and update it. And if you don't like what you see, then, you know, you can go back and forth with it until you do get what you see, right? And so that's really simple and easy to do. Doesn't take a long time. And yeah, you can easily create this stuff step by step. Now, the next method that I'd recommend is documenting your journey whilst using Manus, right? So there's a full SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom on how to make money with school, right? So if you type in school inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you'll see a full section on how to make money with school based on what's working for us. And what we do essentially, you know, across YouTube, across Medium, across, for example, YouTube as well, is we're just documenting everything that I do with Manus and all these other tools, right? So whether you're using Open Manus, whether you're using Manus AI, whatever you're doing, like if you document the process, you get a lot of attention because people want to learn how to use this stuff, right? So for example, like a lot of our Twitter posts, they'll get thousands of views. Like, so for example, let me open up this one. This video right here, just posted it yesterday, literally just the same video as YouTube, and it got 16,400 views in less than 24 hours, right? And then people DM us, they'll ask about your services, they'll ask what you sell, and then you generate money that way, right? The other cool thing as well is, like, when you set up the documentation, whether that's across YouTube, whether that's across, you know, the tweets that you're creating, however you're sharing, how you're using this AI, if you have a community that you're building, for example, like we have the AI Profit Boardroom, if you have a community like this where you can direct people to go there and learn about this stuff, then, you know, you can make money that way because people will pay to learn from you, right? Especially if you're offering, for example, like we offer weekly Q&A calls, we have a classroom of all of our best SOPs, etc. When you document what you're doing and then you send people to a community like school, it's pretty simple and easy to set up, right? What I'm going to do is I have a tutorial inside the SEO Elite Circle. And if you want to see like the full tutorial video on exactly how we set up school, let me grab this and I'll plug it directly into the SOP section. So I'm going to add this link inside the documentation here. So if you want the full video tutorial on how to set up school communities and make money with them, it's right there. Just click on that link inside the AI Profit Boardroom, right? But essentially what you're doing, let me break this down. So this is method number 2 for you, is you're getting attention by documenting what you do. In fact, let's take a step back here. You're documenting everything that you do, whether that's via blog posts, whether that's via video, whether that's via tweets, etc. Then you're getting people's attention, right? So you capture people's attention. And then from here, to turn it into money, you want to have like some sort of community, right? I would recommend school or somewhere where you store all of your best videos, all of your best courses, all of your best recipes. Maybe you do some weekly Q&As. You have a community where people can interact with each other. And that's like a really simple 3-step process that anyone watching this can do, right? Starting today. Like all you have to do is record your screen or create a blog post about how you're using AI. We use Descript personally, but if you want a free video recorder, you can use OBS Studio as well. You capture everything and you just explain what you're doing step by step. Like the crazy thing about this is you don't even need, for example, to show your own face. So I'll come on to this later, but you can create like avatar videos. For example, like this video right here, this is not me. This is the AI version of me. Got 2,400 views. And again, that makes money too. The other thing as well that happens when you're documenting the process, and I'll show you our YouTube studio and how much money we make, is just for sharing this content, you can monetize your channel and make money that way. So you can see, for example, like Monday, March the 10th, we made $537 in one single day just by sharing what we're doing and showing the world exactly how this works step by step. So you can get paid in ad revenue and that sort of thing as well. If you're wondering, okay, like, don't you need a monetized channel to make money with YouTube? Well, I can show you how quickly and easy this is to get set up, right? So for example, if I have a look over the last 90 days, right? So we started posting on this channel. You can see here, we started posting on the 29th of December. And then we started making money by January the 23rd, right? So we started posting videos in December and making money by January the 23rd, right? And so that's how quickly you can start making money. If you're documenting the process of what you do, posting videos online, sharing it, etc., it's pretty simple and easy to do step by step. Now, loads of people are asking me for an invitation code. If you want to set up, if you want to get access to Manus, but you don't have an invitation code and you're waiting, just set up Open Manus. You can see here, we've set up Open Manus. You can scroll, if you're watching the live stream of this, you can scroll back. If you're on my main organic version of the channel, if you're watching this back later on the organic version, then just check out and search Julian Goldie Open Manus on YouTube, and you'll see the tutorial video of how to set up Open Manus, right? So either way, you don't need to wait for an invitation to Manus. You can just set up Open Manus, which is very similar and very powerful, right? So yeah, that's how you can do this step by step. So step number 1, you can, for example, build money-making websites that direct traffic to your funnels. Step number 2, you can document the process, and then you can create a school community around what you sell, right? And, if you're just getting started, you could even make it free. And then once you get some confidence in setting up a community, sharing everything that you do, building an audience, then you could always make it paid later, right? So that's 2 different ways to make money. The next way as well is to start making money by attracting a lot of attention and then monetizing your content. So whether that's on YouTube, which, I've shown you can get monetized within 60 days. That's what we did for our Julian Goldie AI channel. And also on Twitter as well, you can make money too. So for example, just last month, we made $300 in one single month just by tweeting about what we're doing and showcasing how we're using Manus and AI and Open Manus and all these other AI tools. And, if you love this stuff, then why not share it with the world? Why not, record what you're doing and sharing it with everyone on the world, right? That's pretty simple and easy to do. So yeah, step by step, that's 3 different ways to make money with Manus. The next method is you can actually, let me share this step by step. Yeah, so the next method is you can actually sell like AI services on Fiverr or Upwork or even directly, right? So for example, if we go into my Upwork profile here, let's wait for this to load. So on Upwork, we've made over $1 million across all our Upwork profiles. And, got amazing reviews as well. We've got 100% job success score. And basically what we're doing here is we're selling services, right? So we're selling services about SEO and AI automations and that sort of thing, as you can see right here. So you can see all our 5-star reviews. And essentially, if you want to start selling a service, it's really easy to just set up a profile on Upwork or set up a profile on Fiverr.com. And you can sell AI automations that people will be really interested in, right? So for example, for us, like for my own business, I started off by doing this for my own business, and then we started selling it as a service, is creating custom GPTs. Now, some clients, they might spend like $1,000 on a task that they can automate with AI if you can do that for them. And so, for example, like this AI SEO Dominator, this is like a SaaS product we created where people can create content with it directly, right? And the power of that is that you're automating a task for a business, then you're selling it on Upwork or Fiverr.com where people are interested in this sort of stuff. And it's very easy for you to set up. I mean, we have tons of videos on YouTube showing you how to set up custom GPTs. And if you do this as a service for other people, then it helps them. You make money, and you start making money just by applying the knowledge that you're already passionate about, right? I can imagine if you're watching this channel, you're probably passionate and interested about AI. And so selling the service is kind of like the next step, right? Selling the AI automation service. Now, if you want some ideas on like the right services to offer, how to set up a high converting Fiverr gig, how to apply for jobs, etc., there's lots of information inside this SOP, as you can see. But yeah, it's pretty simple and easy to do. And I think from what I remember, within the first 30 days of setting up a Upwork profile previously, when I first got it set up, I landed our first client within 30 days, right? And they were paying $1,000 a month. For Fiverr.com, the first time I set up a Fiverr gig, I actually got a sale the same day, so less than 24 hours later, right? And so all you would do is just create a gig about AI automation, set that up on Fiverr.com. You can also see what other people are selling as well. So if we put in AI automation here, we can see what people are selling. So for example, I will build a AI powered blog or a SaaS product. I will design AI automations for your business. I will set up a make.com automation, like all this stuff, AI automation services that you can easily do and easily set up, right? So for example, if we go back to this page that we built previously with AI, like you can see, this page built with AI, if you did this for a business and it makes some money, of course they're going to pay you good money for it, right? It's a really good service. It actually looks better than some freelancers that I've hired for building out funnel pages. And, if you use AI or Manus AI or Open Manus to generate this, then it's really simple and easy because, for example, you can create the content with the tool. You can personalize it to the business. You can design it, you can code it, and you can deploy it. Even you can deploy it on Manus.space and then sell that as a service to the client, right? And if you're helping them, if you're creating value, and if you're making the money with these sort of websites, then why wouldn't they pay you, right? Number one, you're saving the time. Number two, you're making the money. So it's the easiest way that you can start and get set up. So yeah, that is method number 4. So just to recap here, let's talk about the ways that we've talked about making money. So number 1 is documenting your journey. Number 2 is creating tutorials. Number 3 is creating school communities. And number 4 is setting up an AI automation service, right? And all these things you can do with Manus. So for example, inside the classroom, right? If a client comes to you and they're like, okay, how do I automate my emails? Like I want to pay you to automate my email funnels, right? Which is something that a client actually came to us last week with. Well, we actually have like tons of training here and templates that you can use. And all of this knowledge that you're learning inside the AI profit boardroom, you can actually sell as a service to clients, right? And they'll pay top dollar for it. The same, for example, for, Twitter automations, short automations, AI avatar videos. Like you can do that for your own business to make money, but you can also sell that as a service to other people, right? So for example, how much time would you save a business if you set up an AI avatar that could create videos like on command, right? Probably hundreds of hours. And so you could easily sell that as a service to clients using the tutorials inside the AI profit boardroom. And that's an easy way to start, getting tons of clients for your AI automation service. So 5 different ways to make money right there. Additionally, one thing I would recommend as well is also looking at creating like lead generation methods that can land you clients as well, right? So for example, if you're a freelancer or you're an agency, you can actually build some really cool tools using Manus and then use these as lead generation methods. So as an example of that, we actually built like a local SEO directory that's going to rank on Google. And then using that process, like you see right here, we can rank on Google, we can get traffic, and we can use that to start generating clients, right? So if we come onto this website, let's say this SEO directory ranks on Google, and it's like, right, find the best SEO agency in your city. And then let's say, for example, people are looking for an SEO agency in New York, and this website pops up. Well, it's sending traffic to our funnels, like you can see. So this directs people to, as a recommend for Goldie Agency, sends people to our funnels, and we automated the whole directory, all of the content, the whole website design, etc., using Manus. That page doesn't work. We need to get it fixed, but you get the point. And so you can really use this as a powerful way to get more clients by creating these lead generation websites, ranking them on Google, and automating the whole process with Manus or Open Manus. So really powerful stuff there for making money. That is method number 6. I don't want to overwhelm you with tons of money-making methods, so I'm going to stop this section of the video right here. But essentially, if you want to learn how to do all this stuff, just check out the AI Profit Boardroom. Comes with an awesome community of 445 members. You can ask them for help. You can see all of the posts aside here are just getting... This is crazy. I'll show you this in a second. But like, you can see every single time someone posts, like they're getting the support, they're getting the help they need. And that's what this is all about. It's all about, helping each other achieve more. So for example, this is funny as well. So Rick posted, Julian is everywhere. Please delete if it's not allowed. Like, Julian is being quoted in LLMs as an authority, right? So let's check this out. We're going to open this up right here. So yeah, you can see here, I'm being quoted by LLMs. So this is like AI generated content, and the AI recognizes me as the expert in this niche, right? And who do clients want to hire? They want to hire people who are the experts in their niche. And so just by being everywhere, whether you're automating video content with AI, whether you're, for example, posting multiple platforms using AI or SEO automations, whether you're using email to generate clients, if you're everywhere, you're going to land more clients. And also the LLMs will recommend you as well. So pretty crazy stuff right there. So if you want to get all of my best automations, workflows, SOPs, all the SOPs from today on how to make money, etc. with AI, feel free to get that. Link in the comments description to the AI Profit Boardroom. And also, we have weekly Q&A calls here. So if you want to ask any questions, you can just jump on the weekly Q&As, ask any questions that you have. And if you can't jump on the Q&As, then you can actually watch them back here in the Q&A call recording section. So really awesome there. And if you want a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description. On this one-to-one SEO strategy session, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on the autopilot, like you can see right here. Today, I'm going to show you the best alternatives to Manus AI, which is a very powerful AI agent. But the biggest issues with Manus are that, number one, most people don't have an invitation code yet. And number two, even when you do have an invitation code, it's quite limited because it's in beta, right? Which means that you run out of credits, you can only use it so many times, you can only create so many projects per day with it. And so today we're going to be looking at some of the best alternatives to Manus. And these are completely free, like autonomous AI agents that you can just go off and use the web, right? Now, we're going to be comparing several actually today, including Open Manus, Claude Coder, Convergence, and Owl, right? So Owl is this AI agent, which you can see right here. And basically inside here, you can just put in a question and then it will use the AI agent to go off Google stuff, search the web. Convergence AI is pretty powerful as well. And we'll be coming on to this too. This is like ChatGPT operator, but again, you don't pay for it on the free plan. And then also it can just go off and it can do all sorts of stuff, right? It can even do deep work as well, if you ask it to. Another option is Claude Coder. So if you want to see an example of that, let me pull this up for you right here. So we have Open Manus and Claude Coder running over here. And Claude is another free coder that you can use. It can actually create some pretty cool stuff. I'll show you some of the stuff we created with it today. And additionally, we have Open Manus, right? It's actually a lot better when I started using the API directly with Open Manus, which I'll come on to in a minute, right? So if you use Claude inside Open Manus, it's a lot better than versus when you use like OpenAI and that sort of thing. So we'll be running through exactly how to use this, how it goes step by step, etc. And we'll also be coming on to like tutorials for each. So if you want to get started with Manus, obviously once you've got an invitation code, you can go in here and you can ask it to do stuff. One of the other biggest issues though, however, is that if you, for example, create an app, so for example, here I wanted to create like an AI SEO content writer. When I use Manus to do this, it's actually using Manus Computer. And the problem with Manus Computer rather than Manus.space is it will host an app, right? And then when I log in next time, that's not hosted on like a permanent subdomain. It means that basically any apps I create won't be running next time I go off to use them unless I host them on my own private custom domain. Also, you can see here it's quite buggy, right? So like, I can scroll down and there's all this open space. Manus is not perfect. It creates some mind-blowing stuff, but it's not perfect. Whereas if we compare it to, say, something like OWL, we'll say here, for example, like create an SEO cost calculator in HTML. We'll run that terminal request right here. And you can see this is processing now. So it does take a little bit of time to come back to us. Hopefully that should start working in a minute. So the other thing with Manus as well is it takes a long time too. If you look at the demos on the website for Manus, there's some really cool and impressive stuff here. But like, for example, if you click on this, the speed at which this is generated is not the same as the actual speed inside here, right? So for example, you can see if we check Manus working, I actually gave it this prompt 2 hours ago. And it's still creating the prompt, as you can see, right? It's still creating the environment, everything else. So it is quite slow. It is quite slow to respond and that sort of thing. OWL, which is open source, available on GitHub. Then you can see here, we've got the HTML ready to go pretty much instantly. And if we go to test this, so we'll just test it out at liveweave.com. Plug in the HTML code that we got from OWL, like you can see. And we've got this working cost calculator. And then if we do test 100, 1000, 100, click calculate total cost, is that working? Yeah, so you've got an example right there of the cost calculator you can build. Actually not working, but I'm sure you can go back and forth with OWL in the chat. And that's basically one way you can use this, right? Now, inside here as well, you can set your environment variables, right? So you can see here, for example, I've plugged in my OpenAI key. You can plug in a Qwen key, a DeepSeek key, and also a Google API key, right? So you can get a free API from aistudio.google.com and then use OWL as your AI agent, right? So if you go to aistudio.google.com, go to get API key, like you can see over here, and then create an API key, you can then grab that and plug it into OWL directly over here, right? There's also a search engine ID, chunker ID, Firecore ID. So you can link it to different apps as well. And then you've got the conversation record right here. So you can actually copy this information. You can refresh a record. You can clear it as well. So you can delete previous information inside the conversation. And you can also see your token count over here. And then it's got a few like example prompts that you can use. So for example, I open Google search, summarize GitHub stars, etc. So let's see if that works. We're going to open this up on OWL now. I'm going to click run. And you can see it will be processing. So when you're waiting for this to run, it's going to start processing. Now, the thing that I would say about OWL is it was a little bit technical to set up because obviously you're using Terminal, right? If you're using Terminal to set anything up like this, like an AI agent, it's going to be nowhere near as easy as like Manus, where Manus, you just go off, you type in whatever you want, and then you come back 30 minutes later and it's usually done, right? So that's the biggest difference here. And also it's quite slow. So this is not fast at all. I'm trying to find the history right here. Yes, so it's got the completion tokens. I'm just going to refresh this because it doesn't seem to be working. Let's see what we got here. All right, so it's doing the instructions. So like you can see, then it's doing the Google search. So you can see here it's like search Google, searching for that step by step. And then it's using that GitHub to start running this. By the way, if you want, I was waiting for that to load. If you want like all the instructions on how to set OWL up directly inside your terminal, then it is completely free, right? And it's not a bad alternative to Manus. It's probably not going to do things at the same level, but it's not bad at all. So if you want to get access to that, just go to the SAP section over here. And this is my first time using it as well. I'm probably not an expert at this, but I can compare the models based on what's working for me and the easy use and everything else. So if we go over to the AI Profit Boardroom, and then if you go into the SAP section, you'll see how to set up each of these AI agents, right? So there's a whole section on our setup and how to do that, and you can just follow the instructions right there. But yeah, it's completely free. It's available on GitHub, and you can see it's running the request right here. So you've got, for example, like a user agent, assistant agent. What else do we have up here? Yes, it's doing some Google searches, and it's running through each now. It does say I'm unable to directly access the GitHub repository to retrieve the stars. So not a great start there. It can code basic stuff, but from what I can see, it's not working that well compared to something like, I'll show you OpenManus in a minute. I'll show you how that works. The UI is much better than OpenManus. OpenManus doesn't even have a UI, so you just use it directly inside the terminal. But you're always going to stick with Manus, aren't you? Manus doesn't require any code, no terminal setup. It connects to the internet. It runs tasks without any problems. But the biggest problem with Manus, of course, is that there are token limits and you can't use it as much as you want to. Pros and cons. All right. So that is OWL used. Maybe we'll come on to like a full-blown tutorial later. We'll come on to Convergence now, right? Let's do the same prompt inside Convergence. And we're going to say, open Google search, summarize the GitHub stars, fault counts, etc. of Camel's AI Camel framework, write the numbers into a Python file using the plot package, save it locally and run the generated file. Now, I don't think it's going to do those bits right there, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to delete that part of the prompt. But I'll say create a HTML, because obviously it doesn't have local access to your computer. So I'm going to say do this and then create a HTML code with a landing page explainer of OWL, right? And we'll just summarize that into basically a website. So we're going to run that now. We'll see what happens next. And so Convergence AI is really good because it doesn't require terminal setup. I would actually say the UI is nicer on Convergence AI than Manus as well. And it also has browser use. So you can see here it clearly connects to the internet pretty quickly. It can research GitHub repositories. It can actually read the page as well. And then you understand exactly what's going on. If you compare the UI of this versus the UI of OWL, there's a huge difference, right? Like it's not even comparable. Let's pull these up. I'll show you what I mean. So you got Convergence AI over here. All right, that can clearly search the web, doesn't have any problems, does exactly what you want it to do first time round. It's pretty nice. Browses the web, scrolls through everything. And this is free. The difference as well with OWL is like if you plug in an API key, depending on which one you're using, it's going to cost you money, right? So for example, if you're using something like to generate the responses, then that's going to cost you money with OWL, right? So the setup of OWL is free, like the tool itself is free, but it's going to cost you money on the API. If you want to use it for free completely, then you just grab a free API key at aistudio.google.com. If you're using Convergence, Convergence actually does its magic perfectly first time round, and it does it using free APIs, right? It's even set up the environment for you. So this is not your actual laptop. This is just like a virtual environment where it's going off into the web and it's searching stuff on Google. And also you can skip through the steps so you can see what happened. Very similar to Manus in that way. So you see here on Manus, for example, if we open up an example that actually worked, you can see all the steps and what it did previously. Same on Convergence, like you can see the previous steps it's made, how it works, etc. And then also this has worked really nicely. So it says, I've gathered the GitHub statistics for Camel AI's Camel framework. Here's what it's done. Let's just open this up and we'll see how many stars it actually has. So 5.8K, 5K. What's that saying? That's because let's open this up, see what we got here. 10.3K, 1K. Yeah, that matches perfectly with what this was trying to find. And then we've got the HTML snippet with a landing page explainer, right? So you can actually download that file as well, which is pretty cool. So this has the ability to create files for you. We can download that, like you can see. And then also what we can do is we can just run that on LiveWeave too. So if we go to liveweave.com and we'll plug in the HTML right there. Obviously the HTML is not that nice. Yeah, you can definitely give better prompting instructions in terms of making that a nicer landing page, but it does the job. So it's created like a nice little summary using the GitHub repository. I should have improved the prompt, so that's probably my fault in terms of getting better outputs from this, but it does the job perfectly. So if you compare the quality of this, I mean, in terms of rankings and ratings, honestly, like this is probably better than Manus in many ways because it's faster, it does the job quicker, it's available to everyone, it's completely free, and there's no limit on the number of responses. So right now, I'd say that Convergence AI is actually doing a better job than Manus in this respect. It can do things perfectly. It can do things in the same way as Manus, but it's faster. It doesn't cost you any tokens, and you can get it done straight away, right? You don't need to set up terminal or anything like that. Owl, I would say, is coming in last right now from what I can see. So let's try this one and see if it works, all right? I'm going to say search the web, and then we'll do the same prompt here. And we'll just give it one more chance. So let's see what we get back here. Wait for that to load. For the average Jack Johnson on the street who's barely used ChatGPT, they're just never going to be able to understand this, right? If they looked at this, they looked at terminal, it's just going to be totally impractical. Whereas something like Convergence AI, did that just open up Chromium? Ah, yeah, look at that. Yeah, so it's doing browser use. You can see it's actually looking at the page and using vision to check out the page. So that's quite useful. If you compare that versus the responses from Convergence AI, which one is more user-friendly? Of course, it's Convergence AI. So let's see what we get back in a second. It's still processing for now. I like the fact that it opened the landing page and then it closed Chromium. And obviously, you know, when it's using Chromium as well to open up a separate tab, it's in a safer environment, right? So it's not like directly inside your Chrome browser. It's not got all your logins or anything like that. Like it's a little bit safer than just hosting that directly locally. And bear in mind as well, like when you're using Convergence AI, there's no API to plug in here. So you don't need to plug in your API key. There's no technical setup. Whereas Gradio, of course, like that's going to cost a bit of money on the API key, or at least some technical expertise on how to get an API key. Some people actually struggle with getting API keys in general. But this seems to be working now. Like before, it didn't seem to work at all. But let's see what we get back here. So we plugged that in, we've asked it to do, and we asked for a HTML code with a landing page explainer. So that's part of the process. But I can't see any HTML code directly in there. So it's used my tokens. Like you can see, it's rinsed my tokens, but there's no output from that, right? There's no code or anything like that. And then it's got some bugs. Like, for example, it says, it seems there might be a misunderstanding. As an assistant, I'm here to help you and implement the enhancements, blah, blah, blah. But it's not done the job we want. All right. So fair play to Alpha releasing something that's open source. Like, I respect them for that. It's cool that they've done it on GitHub. But if you compare the ease of use and the outputs from Convergence versus OWL, it's just night and day, isn't it? It's night and day. All right. So the one that we haven't really covered so far is Open Manus. So let's open up Open Manus. We've got it ready to go right here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab the setup instructions from the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you want to get those setup instructions inside the SAP section of the AI Profit Boardroom, and then I'm just going to get this set up. Now, one thing I want you to know is like when you're setting up Claude on this, I had to install loads of dependencies, right? So if you want to use your Claude API inside Open Manus, there's a lot of work to be done there, sunshine. I tell you that for free. So let's wait for this to load. All right, so it says enter your prompt. I'm going to zoom in for the peeps at home so you can check this out. All right, so this is open. This is what it looks like. There's no real UI, but let's do the same prompt. So we're going to take that prompt from here, and we'll say Open Manus, do your magic. So you can see it's completing the Google search right here, and it's opened up computer use browser use there, right? So you can see it's opened up a tab. It's looking through the page. Let's see what it does next. The other thing with Open Manus is like, you don't really know what's going on, if that makes sense. So I don't know what's happening here. Like, I get the feel for it. I kind of have a feel for, okay, it's moving in the right direction, but I have no idea if it's doing the task successfully or not, because it's all numbers and it's all like tool call and execute tool and activating browser use and everything else, right? So when I'm testing this out, it's a little bit confusing to figure out, okay, what's going on, but you can see you're using the Chromium in the background there. So scroll down the page, seems to be refreshing stuff. You can see this page is refreshing in the background here as well. And you can see it's also doing some Google searches as well. So it's definitely got further than Owl. It's done a better job than Owl for sure. It's struggling a bit on doing some research, but it seems really smooth in terms of using the browser use, to be fair. So even whilst we've got the terminal running right here, in the background, you can see the browser use working perfectly. You can see it's using Google pretty nicely there as well. So let me pull this up. This is a terminal. This is the browser use from the AI. But again, I think, if you compare these, really, you got to think Convergence AI is still winning by a long way. Convergence AI doesn't get stuck. Again, you don't need any technical setup. UI is better. So the best so far in terms of performance is Convergence. So let's see what we get back. It's on step 29 out of 30 now, so it's been running for a few minutes. The other thing as well I got to say here, peeps, is if I have to sit here that long for this, I'd be better off just doing it myself. Like, it's counterproductive at this point. So again, like, I respect Open Manus for doing something that's open source and that's useful. This is using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, but it's just nowhere near on the same level as Manus AI, right? The stuff you can create with Manus AI, I haven't even given this like a complicated task and it's failed on it, right? There's no output from this. It's not that useful. We'll do another one now. So I'm going to say, okay, create a beautiful cost calculator tool and open it up. All right, so let's see what we get back now. Doesn't seem to have worked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control and C to shut it down. And then we'll just run that again. So let me just run that again with Python space main.py if you need to do that. All right, so just Command and C to close it, and then type in Python space main.py to run this again. And from here, we'll try that again. So I'll say code an SEO cost calculator. Doing something, we're just not sure what it is. So some people say they feel like a Linux dev looking at terminal all the time. I would agree with you. It's not the nicest to look at. This seems to be stuck as well, but let's see what we get back in a second. So I'm going to leave that running in the background just to come back to Manus as well. This is the difference, right? So everyone says, oh, you can use Open Manus or you can use Manus just like a Claude wrapper. But look at the difference here. There's such a huge difference in what you get from versus what you get from OpenAI. So now it's said, let's start by creating a HTML file with CSS and JavaScript for the calculator. It's beginning to start doing that. It's running it, but it's quite slow. Let's come back to now. We'll see where we're up to on that AI writer that we're creating. So it's using the terminal, it's deploying everything. Perfect. All right. So if you want to create really complex stuff, I think Manus is still the best one. If you want to automate basic admin tasks, then Convergence here does a good job. What's this doing now? Open Manus is still quite slow. Even a basic task like this as well, if you went straight into Claude, it would just do it magically. I'll show you an example, right? So this is the other thing, right? So if you want to create, for example, an AI content writer, or you want to create a website. So for example, if you come on to this site over here, we actually created this website using Manus AI, right? Pretty complex tasks. It's embedded in a video, created a really nice sort of landing page right here. Looks quite nice. So I don't think that Owl or anything like that is going to be good enough to do that, right? This is the output you get back from Open Manus, which is not bad. It's not bad. But look at the difference in the UI between these two. So you got the SEO cost calculator from Open Manus over here, and then you got the designed landing page from Manus AI here, right? Difference in coding abilities is off the charts. So you can see the biggest difference here. The tool does work, to be fair to it, but the UI is not that nice. All right, so I'm going to leave that running in the background. In the meantime, I'm going to switch over to Claude Code now. So I'm going to say here, research student Goldie and his AI Profit Boardroom, then link to this, create this website, etc. And we're doing a web fetch, and we'll see if this can code something better. So this is a free tool from Claude as well. It's kind of like an AI agent you can run in terminal, but it's a lot more user-friendly. So you can see here how there's not like loads of crazy code and stuff. And it tends to be a lot more responsive. Plus, it's really easy to get the hang of. I've got some instructions on how to set this up inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but essentially, I just started using it this morning properly, and it was really easy to set up and just get this working. So let's see what we get back in a second. We've finished the SEO cost calculator from Manus. Not bad at all. It works. It's just the UI is not that great. And now we've got this working right now with Claude. So you can see it coding. It says ruminating right here, and you can see it loading. And then it's got a timer as well, so you can see how long it's been running. If you just compare side by side the UI of Manus versus Claude Code, the difference is huge. Right now, let's go over to Convergence AI. We'll do another test. We'll give it exactly the same prompt that we gave to Claude Code. And we'll wait for that to load. Claude Code is taking its time there. So again, like Convergence AI just goes off, starts researching, starts Googling, finds exactly what we want straight off the bat. Not messing around today. And then it's just doing all the research. So it actually navigated to that page that Manus AI created, like you can see. And at least you know what's going on here. So at least you're in the loop. Whereas with Claude, you're not really sure what's going on. But here you've got the code back from Claude. So let's open this up. It says you want to make an edit. I'm going to say, just open it up. So now it's opening up the page. Look at that, from Claude Code. Back in the game. Damn, that is pretty nice, to be fair. So this is the website that we got back from Claude Code. Fair play to it. It looks pretty nice. That was super easy to do. We didn't have to set up too much. The gradients are nice on the website. It's clean. Honestly, and it's embedded the URL. So you can see here it's embedded the VSL inside the content, and it's linked directly to school as well. That's done a great job, isn't it? Honestly, I think out of the other cool thing here is as well, yeah, it's done a great job there. With no messing around. That's what I like. Not bad at all. I don't like the fact that it's just made up a bunch of random testimonials, like it's trying to get me in trouble here. But everything else is pretty much perfect. Let's check if the navigation works. So features, success stories, about Julian, FAQ. Yeah, this is beautiful, my friends. All right, so here's my verdict. Here's what I'm going to tell you, because this is taking absolutely ages. So if you want a sort of admin, executive assistant that can just go off and do like research tasks completely for free, then honestly, I'm going to say that Convergence AI it might be better than Manus simply because it's available right now. It's completely free to do stuff like this. It's super fast and there's no token limits, right? Now, if you want to code something, I would recommend as an AI agent, Claude Code. I think that's right up there with Manus in terms of the design, the UI. You can open up the file, we can code it locally, and that was super easy, right? And this is a free tool as well to use. And the outputs are super nice, like you can see right here. Like, it looks pretty nice, to be fair. Then I would put Manus simply because it works, but it's messy. I don't like setting up the terminal. It takes absolutely ages to figure out, and sometimes it breaks. And then coming in last, but fair play to them for what they're doing. I think they're going in the right direction. It's just, it's not that impressive, and that is out, right? And it's just not on the same level as Manus from what I can see so far. So that's my review of each, and let me know what you think. But if it was me, yeah, I'm going to stick with Convergence AI for admin tasks and Claude for coding tasks until Manus AI is available for everyone. Honestly, like, I think Manus is the boss. It's created some awesome stuff. Let's see what it creates with this. So we ask it to create this. It takes absolutely ages. That's the only problem with Manus. So we've got this runner game right here. Should be getting deployed. Even like the quality of games you can build with Manus is pretty cool. So let me show you this, for example. Manus just went off and coded this free.js game, and we can just go around inside the forest or whatever. So you have my verdict. I've shown you how to compare them. If you want to get the setup instructions for each, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This comes with all of my best SOPs, tutorials, tips, templates, etc. on exactly how to use all of these tools. And also, if you ever get stuck, you can ask the community. There's 465 members there, all dedicated to making money and scaling with AI. And if you want to jump on weekly Q&A calls, you can as well. So feel free to get that link in the comments and description. You now know what are the best free AI alternatives to Manus. Convergence AI coming in first, Claude coming in joint first for coding, and then Open Manus, and then after that out. I'm going to be showing you how to set up Open Manus, which is kind of like an open source alternative to Manus. And, Manus is incredible, but Open Manus can basically achieve similar things without an invitation code, right? And one of the main questions I've been getting across all of my videos about Manus is, how do I get access? How do I get access? And this is an easy way to kind of get very similar performance, but you can do it offline, you can do it locally, and you can do it right now, instantly. I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up step by step, how to get access, and I'll show you how to get the SOP and everything else, right? So first thing you want to do is you want to go to Open Manus, which is available on GitHub, and they have these simple instructions. Now, basically what they've said is, we've basically set this up because everyone needs an invite code for Manus. Obviously, it's not fully ready to go out yet, but I'm going to be testing out and showing you how you can set it up step by step today. If you want to see an example of what this looks like once you've set it up, here's an example right here. So this is running locally as Open Manus on my laptop. And, for example, we can just get this set up and ready to go right here. So if we go over to the AI Profit Boardroom, I'll show you how to get this set up step by step. And so what we're going to do is inside the SOP section of the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, you can just get the instructions right here to set this up. So for example, if I have already set it up inside terminal, like we have, we can grab this, we can say python space main.py, then we can enter our prompts. So let me just grab an example prompt from the AI Profit Boardroom. I'm going to grab this one right here, and then we'll go back to terminal and we'll say build an SEO cost calculator in HTML and preview it in Chrome, right? And what that should do is start running the agent. I'm just going to zoom in here so it's easier to see and understand what's happening here. And this should start implementing it. Now, the cool thing about this is it's kind of like connected to many different tools, right? So, for example, and I'm just going to open this up. So it literally coded it like almost instantly, which is crazy. But we've got the code back here, and it's created the preview inside Chromium. So the AI agent has coded the tool, figured out how to build it, and then it's literally come back to us with a HTML preview, and then run that inside terminal. And we have the SEO cost calculator built and ready to go. Boom shakalaka. Let's just check it actually works. So I don't want to get too excited here. So I'm just going to put number of keywords 10, competition level equals low, and then duration we'll put 10. And yeah, works beautifully. Look at that. Just created a AI agent that codes and builds websites and then deploys them, and we're ready to go. We're living the dream, right? And all we had to do was inside Open Manus, we just said build an SEO cost calculator in HTML and preview in Chrome. So it's amazing how easy and powerful this is. Now, if you want to set up the API key, you can use OpenAI or you can get a free one. So if you want to get a free one, and I'll show you how to set this up from scratch in a second, but if you want a free API key, then you can just go over to grok.com. Grok.com give away free API keys. Just go to the dev console and log in directly over there. The other option that you have is that you can go over to Hyperbolic. Hyperbolic are pretty generous, and they give away some free API keys as well. Along with, I think you get DeepSeek as one of the free APIs. You get Mistral as well. So you can use these API keys and then plug them into Open Manus as well, right? Now, Open Manus is still super powerful. Like you can see, it does its magic straight away. It's not going to do things at the same level as Manus AI. So, I mean, Manus AI is just insane, right? I built this sales page for our custom GPT service this morning. By the way, if you want to sign up for this, just comment below. I'll send you the link. But basically, I built this out with like one single prompt this morning. Look at this. I said, just do this. And then it built out a whole landing page using Manus, designed it, deployed it. It's even got the payment link. So if we click on this, it goes straight through to a payment link where people can sign up for the service, like you can see. And it looks better than all these other landing page designers. Like this is a really nice design. Wrote all the copy as well, coded it all out. So, I mean, Manus is still superior. But if you want to get as close as you possibly can, then Open Manus is pretty cool. So you don't need to wait for an invitation, right? Everyone who's saying, I need to wait for an invitation, you don't need to wait. Like, just get Open Manus, install that, right? And if you want to know how to install it, let me show you exactly how to do this step by step. Again, it has to be inside the AI profit boardroom. But if we open up a new window here, and then we'll grab this, right? So we're going to set up Conda, first of all. So let's open this up. We'll paste in that instruction, like so. That's going to offer to create a new Conda. We're going to type yes when it says, do you want to set up the new environment? So we just press Y and then enter. And then we'll say proceed. We'll say Y and enter, right? And that will just start setting up the package, right? So if we open up the terminal here, I'll zoom in for you so you can see what's happening here. So it's activating this environment, all right? Once you've done that, then we can git clone and command open Manus. So let's click on that. All right, I've already installed it, so it's not going to install it for me because we already set that up previously. Then we're going to pip install the requirements. So let's grab that. And that should start installing step by step. After that, you do need to set up your API key. So if you want to set up the API key, just type in the config prompt like so. Then step 5 is to set up this as well, nano config. Once you've set that up inside here, you're going to press Control and X, Y, right? And then you're going to press Python main py, like so, right? And that'll just run this step by step. Now, you do need to make sure that you have the API key plugged in. But once you've done all of that, then you're going to see something like this, like you can see, and we've got the agent ready to go, all right? Now, inside here, we could say, for example, okay, Google the latest price of Tesla stock. Hopefully this should work for us. All right. And then this is linked directly to our browser. So it can do like browser use. It can start searching the web. It can start, opening up Chromium and everything else, which is pretty wild. So you can see it's doing all of this. And yeah, we'll just wait for that to load. So it's going to go off. It's not as fast as Manus AI as you can expect. Like Manus AI comes with the UI as well, which is much nicer, to be honest with you. But it can still do like browser use and everything else. All right. If you get stuck in a loop, then what you can do is you can press Control and C to end it. All right, so press Control and C. That will end the loop. And then you can just Python space main.py, run that again, and you're good to go in that. All right. So it's super powerful. I mean, it is pretty impressive what you can do. I'm just going to close this and open it up again so I can show you from scratch exactly how we set this up. All right. So if we open up terminal here, we'll set up the Conda. Then we'll git clone. One sec. I have to press Conda. It has to set it up. We're going to say yes. Then we'll say proceed. Then it's going to start installing that step by step. Then we'll clone this, like so. We'll pip install that bad boy. By the way, I cannot code. Like for anyone watching, if you're worried, okay, like how do you do this? How does it work, etc. I can't code at all, but I can set this up, right? And if you get any problems along the way, what I usually do is screenshot it, paste in the GitHub instructions directly into Claude, and then just troubleshoot along the way, right? That's an easy way to fix this as well. So if you ever get stuck or if it's not working, etc., then just take a screenshot, plug it into Claude, plug in the GitHub instructions, plus copy the whole terminal conversation. And then from there, you can use that to start, generating the solutions, right? Because like everyone's laptop is different. Everyone has different dependencies installed. Some people here might be using Mac rather than, some people might be using Windows instead of Mac as well. So yeah, that's it. And then quite often this bit right here, it takes a while to set up. So you see how it's just like got a little square there. It's going to take a while to come back to us. And now it's finally come back to us, right? So set that up nicely. We've installed the requirements. Now we need to set up the config. So we'll plug that in. Then we're going to nano config that bad boy, like so. That's going to open this up. And you see here how we have to plug in our instructions. What I usually do is I put this into a Google Doc and I just delete everything inside the terminal and then paste in the stuff from the Google Doc, right? So for example, if we press, I think it's Control and K, we can delete everything inside here, line by line, like you can see. So I'm just going to delete all of this stuff. And then I'm going to grab an API key that I'll delete in a second as well. So let's grab this and we can just paste it in, right? So you just insert your API key right here. I'm just going to grab that from another setup that I have. 1 second. And then I can copy and paste this in. All right, so let's do that in 2 secs. In the background, obviously I'm not going to show my API key directly on a live stream. That would be a bit mad. So I'm just going to grab this. 1 segundo. All right, we've copied that. And then I'm just going to paste this customized nano configuration for the LM configuration with the API key inside terminal. So I'll do that on a separate window. And then once you've done that, press Control X and then Y to confirm it and then enter, right? Once you've done that, it'll be confirmed like so. And then all we need to do from here is just run my Python main.py, right? Like so. And look at that. It says enter your prompt, right? So you can see exactly how to set it up step by step. Pretty simple and easy. So you see where it says enter your prompt, that's where we're going to enter it. And then again, if we take that prompt we actually did before, let's grab it like so, build an SEO cost calculator in HTML and preview it in Chrome. Copy that, we'll plug that in, hit enter. And we'll wait for that to load. Fingers crossed it actually works. And yeah, it's pretty wild. You can do this so easily, so fast and easy to do. It's an autonomous AI agent. Obviously, if you told ChatGPT to do this for you, it's not going to work. Whereas this works, perfectly almost every single time. So that's basically how you can do it. We could say, for example, okay, what's the price of Tesla? Google it for me. Check if that works. I think it's still just completing the previous task. And again, if it ever gets stuck or anything like that, you can just press Control and C and then run it again on Python. Like so. So for example here, we said Google the price of Tesla. It just did it right there, grabbed it from Yahoo Finance, boom shakalaka, we're in the game, we're ready to go, right? And yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, the fact that you can run this locally, you can run it offline if you wanted to. You can, for example, run this with, I think you could probably run it with Llama as well. I've not tested that out. You can get a free API key from Grok. You can also test a free API key from Hyperbolic. You don't need to wait for the invitation code from Manus, and it can use computer use as well. I think also you can set up the Claude API key directly inside here as well. I'm just using OpenAI to keep things simple, but that's basically how it goes. So step by step, you don't need to worry about, waiting for an invite code. So every single person who's commenting and asking for an invite code across any of my videos, you know how to do this now, right? And it's pretty simple and easy. So that's basically it when it comes to setting up. Now we actually have a lot more to cover, but I'll come on to that in a minute. And yeah, I mean, let's test this out as well. So I'm going to go into, I'll show you why this is so crucial, right? So for example, if you're building a project out with Open Manus, right, and it's offline, and we'll compare this versus Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So I pay for the premium package on Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And if I say to Claude 3.7 Sonnet, which is awesome for writing code and everything else, but if I say to it, right, Google the price of Tesla stocks today, number one, it can't use computer use directly inside the chat. And number two, it doesn't have access to the internet, right? So it has a cutoff point to October 2024. Whereas you can see previously, this can, number one, do computer use inside the terminal. And number two, it is connected to the internet. So it can just go off and it can run and that sort of thing. So it's a lot more autonomous and it's better for problem solving. Let's try something else. So, I mean, for example, if we say, okay, code and SEO calculator locally and as HTML and open in Chromium for me. We just have to make sure we have it running. Let me type this in for you. Like so. And you can see it's just going to go off and do that, right? Now I'll show you an example of why this matters and what involves. But basically, you'll start doing this locally, you'll start building it out. You can see how it actually has access to my laptop as well. So it's going through, users, Julian Goldie, Open Manus, SEO cost calculator, HTML, etc. And then, yeah, that's ready and built out, right? Pretty nice. So, pretty cool right there. Other stuff as well. So for example, if I say, okay, research Julian Goldie, we have to run the Python again. So it seems like we have to do this every time, to be fair. So if we say research Julian Goldie and information about him, it's kind of like a executive assistant that can just go off, right? So you see how it's looking at LinkedIn, it's doing a Google search right here, it's looking at my Twitter, for example, and this was really, really fast at implementing it. And then it's also found like all the details about me, etc. It's actually gone straight to the website as well. So it's opened up the website, and it's looking at information right here. And then it can just autonomously just go off and do that research, right? And you could do this, for your competitors, you could do it for deep research. You could, for example, if you were looking for like specific mentions of your product, I'm pretty sure it could do it, all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool. And then it's gathered all the information about it right here, right? And then, you could go off and like create a website based on that research. It's also found like even my school community profile, that sort of thing, Udemy, LinkedIn, Twitter. So it can scrape like the first page of Google and use that for information. Like what it could also be useful for is like if you're creating content and you want to analyze your competitors, you could say like just Google my name and that sort of thing, and we can just go from there. So yeah, pretty simple and easy to do, and doesn't take a lot of time at all. So that is exactly how to set up Open Manus. Now, if you want the full recipe for exactly how to set up, and if you need any support, like a few people needed support on how to set up, etc., like you can see right here, and you can see the whole community helped Antonio set this up. So if you want help like that and support, you can post and you get access to 446 members inside the community who you can access for help inside the AI Profit Boardroom, right? Link in the comments description. Also comes with all my best workflows on like email automation, social media, AI agents, web automation, AI trends, ASEO automation. All the Q&A recordings are here as well. So every week when we do a Q&A, this gets recorded back. And if you want to join them live, just join inside the calendar, like you can see right here. And additionally, if you want to get access to all my best SOPs, by the way, this is updated and upgraded daily. So, the cool thing about the AI Profit Boardroom is like the value is just constantly expanding. It's always improving and always getting better. So if you want all of this information for setting up Open Manus, if you want, we've got a 3-hour course on how to use Manus. If you want to learn how to build anything with it, all our best AI agent workflows. I mean, these are all the updates just from March. And then if we go to February, you can see all the updates we made in February too, right? So it's, the value in this is absolutely insane. We're trying to make it like the best AI community in the world. And, I think it might already be there. And additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to book that in, link in the comments description. And one-to-one, we can show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 business month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot without Facebook or Google ads, right? And basically on this call, you're going to get a free custom tailored link building plan, discover the secrets of SEO link building, answer any questions you have, learn the best link building strategy for your site. Manus versus Open Manus. What's the difference? Which one is better? How much better is Manus versus Open Manus? And by the way, if you're not familiar with this, basically Manus can create amazing animations like this. It can deploy them to subdomains. It can create games like you can see. You've also got, for example, e-commerce stores that have been automated and built really quickly with Manus. And this is kind of like an autonomous AI agent that can build websites, automate tasks for you. It can build anything you want. You've got all these crazy SaaS dashboards that you can create. And you do this all just by creating like one prompt inside the chat, right? So for example, if we go to my chats inside Manus here, you see all this stuff that we've created previously. So for example, this is a local SEO directory that I created. Looks pretty nice. Content filled out on every single page. We're ready to go on that. What we've also got, for example, is we have these reports that you can build. It can even do reports on like trends in the market, etc. So this actually went off onto the internet. And as an AI agent, it just started analyzing like Google trends in the stock market, found some correlations there and that sort of thing as well. Additionally, it even planned out like a comprehensive 30-day trip, and we built like a medieval game, like you can see right here using this process. Some people built some really crazy stuff. For example, like style games. I even built this website using Manus as well. So let's compare it side by side versus Open Manus. If you're not sure how to set up Open Manus, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the SP section and you get access right here, or you can just go to the GitHub available Open Manus and just follow the instructions here. It is a little bit technical, but you get the point. And I've got this already set up, pre-set up inside the chat right here. So we have Manus ready to go. Just need to copy the instructions. So let me grab the python.py over here. We'll plug that in. We'll get that running. All right. And then once you've set up Open Manus, which is kind of like a localized open sourced version of Manus from what I understand, but it doesn't have such a nice UI, then we can start giving it prompts. Okay. Now, the main thing that I would say with Manus is like right now, it seems to be overwhelmed. And what I mean by that is like, there's supposed to be something crazy like 2 million people on the waiting list. I saw that on Twitter this morning. I don't know if it's true or not. It's not confirmed officially, but that is pretty wild if it's true. And that means as well that this is in beta. And because that's in beta, for example, if I try and start a new chat inside Manus, it's only going to let me do like one task a day, right? So if we ask it, it looks like it's, yeah, there we go. So it says you have reached the maximum daily usage limit during the beta testing period. So it's very limited, which is one of the biggest issues with Manus, right? I absolutely love the tool. Love that it's autonomous. Love that it can do whatever it wants. But if you can only use it once a day, it's pretty limiting. Whereas, for example, Open Manus, because it's running on your APIs, for example, this has ChatGPT 4.0's API plugged in, then at least it can actually do stuff, even if it can't do it at the same level. So, for example, if we say, all right, research a 3-day trip to New York, we'll zoom in there, and then we'll hit enter. Hopefully this works. So you can see it's actually just running the task. So by default, actually, yeah, it wins technically because it's actually does the job that we need it to. The only thing that I tend to find is it's pretty poor when it comes to formatting it, right? And so you can see here, it can like Google stuff, it can figure stuff out, etc. And if we go to Visual Studio Code, where we have this set up, you can see previous stuff that I built, right? So for example, we've got like a day one Tokyo itinerary that I built, plugged in right there. And this is the output from Manus, right? So the good thing about this as well is it's stored locally, so you can always come back to it whenever you want. It's pretty easy to set up once you've already installed like everything else that's required. Once it's done as well, it will give you the outputs here. For example, we got the Tokyo itinerary plan that I created previously. We also, for example, have a SEO cost calculator that we've built. Let me see if I can test this for you now. And then we also have, what else? We've got SEO cost calculator right here. And so it's pretty easy and simple to set up, and then we can come back to the outputs here. However, if we have a look at the outputs, it's really basic. So let me show you an example. So if we go over to Manus, one of the main demos that it has, if we scroll down here, is a trip to Japan in April. And if you look at the outputs from Manus versus Manus, Manus just goes into way more detail, right? So you can see here I was searching a lot more websites. It's got a really nice UI, and it's scanning through the whole internet. I will show you how to set up Manus as well at the end of this video if you're struggling to set up. But you can see here that the outputs are just much more in depth, right? It goes into way more detail. It's way more comprehensive. Whereas, for example, inside Manus, it's really basic. Like, it will do a few searches, it will create the itinerary, but we don't really get much of an output. And then if we go to the final output from Manus as well, over here, if we scroll down, it's nicely formatted, but also is much more in depth. So if we compare, for example, this plan, which is, let's have a look here. This is 552 words. Whereas if we go over to the itinerary from Manus, it's really basic. Honestly, you're probably going to get a better output directly from ChatGPT than using this process right here. So it's very limited. That's the only thing. Like, you get a feel for what Manus can do, but you don't get the same power or the same functionality. And the other thing as well is, like, on Manus itself directly, you can actually host subdomains, right? So you can create something and then host it as a subdomain. Here's an example of an SEO cost calculator we built using Manus as well. Super basic stuff. So it can browse the internet. It is like an AI autonomous agent. But the biggest issue here is that it's just not that great at going off and doing stuff. Manus gives us tons of detail, whereas Manus is very limited. Now, this could change if you plug in a different API key directly into Manus, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. But honestly, it's not that impressive, right? I think I've actually got better results with other AI agents, like, for example, this one, I think it's Convergence. Convergence is pretty decent as well. So if we go onto Google and we type in Convergence AI, this is probably a better alternative to Manus. The only thing is it's not installed locally, but it is like a Manus assistant that will just go off and do stuff, right? So if we log in here, I'll do that in the background and we'll get that set up. This is what Convergence looks like. It's like what ChatGPT operator promised to do. And if we, for example, click on Stop Trader, run that task right here, we'll see what it comes back with. And then it'll say, okay, could you specify which stop price you want? So I'm just going to put Tesla, for example, there. And we'll see what it comes back with. And I would say if you want something with good UI that's quite autonomous, then probably Convergence AI is better. Bear in mind, I didn't pay for this, right? This is a free tool. You can get free access to it. I think it does have limits, so it's freemium. But honestly, if you compare the output of Convergence AI versus the output of Manus, I think Convergence AI is 10 times better. You can also automate the task as well. So if we click on this, you can choose like your start time, kind of like ChatGPT tasks, set a schedule, and then go from there. And also you get a preview. So you can see the proxy's view, exactly what it looks like, which is really cool as well. Is that better than Manus? I would absolutely say so. The other thing as well is on Manus, if you go back to it, you can actually, let's have a look here, what we got. So we can actually deploy websites. So if we scroll down, let's scroll down to the deployment section right here. yeah, you can see, for example, you can deploy to a subdomain, which you can't do with the localized version of Open Manus. Now, if you want to set up Open Manus, let me show you exactly how that works step by step. Pretty simple stuff. So we can go to the GitHub, or in fact, what I'm going to do is just follow the instructions inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And essentially, we have to set up a new Conda environment. So let me do that. And plug this in. So then you're going to press yes. So just Y. It's going to start setting it up like you can see. It is a little bit technical. So if you've never used Terminal before, you're probably going to look at this and feel like an FBI hacker or something. Like it feels a little bit confusing when you're first checking out a terminal for someone who doesn't have a coding background. Now, once we've set that up, we can just copy these instructions. Like then we're going to pip install that bad boy. And then from there, what you also need to do is you need to set up a config file for your API keys, right? So for example, what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the configuration. You can use Claude. I think honestly, you're going to get better results with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. You can also put in, for example, all these optional APIs right here. And then if we shut that down by pressing Control and X, then we can use the Python command right here, run that, and we should be good to go on that. All right. Let me just double check this. Yeah. Obviously, you need to put in an API key, but yeah, that's pretty much how we go step by step. And then once you've got that running locally, you can just ask it any prompts as long as you've got your main API key plugged in there. And then also what you can do is you can open that up in Visual Studio Code, like you can see, and you can see all the outputs in green, right? So if we look at this folder right here, we have current events, the Tokyo itinerary, the SEO cost calculator, trip plan, attractions, etc. To be fair, that 7-day trip plan is not bad, but it's just not that comprehensive. And then we have the SEO cost calculator app that we built in Python. So essentially, that's how you can do it step by step. Honestly, as well, like I would say, if you're coding out a website or something like that, if you had a choice between Open Manus and other tools, I'm probably going to use something like Windsurf, right? Windsurf is super powerful for building out websites, and also it can connect to the internet. It's kind of like an autonomous coding agent. The only problem with Windsurf as well is like, it does require a lot more back and forth, right? If you tell Manus to do something or you tell Open Manus to do something, it just goes off and does it. Whereas if you, for example, you ask the AI to do something, it's usually going to go back and forth a little bit right here. So I'm just going to say, run this terminal command, and then I can show you some outputs. But essentially, if we open up a new window here, or we can even open up like an AI automation folder. So let's open up a new window. Then we'll set up open folder, new folder. We'll call this snake test. Open that up. Then we've got some options right here. But the thing is as well, like the outputs from Claude, from Windsurf, are just nowhere near as powerful from what I've seen versus using something like Manus. So if we wanted to create, let's have a look here. What we got here. All right. So if we use the same prompt inside Windsurf, we'll plug that into here. And bear in mind the output of this with one single prompt. So there's no prompting from the user. There's just one single prompt up here. The output from this is something really impressive. If we ask Windsurf to do the same thing, it's going to take a lot longer. And I don't think the output is going to be that great either. But we'll wait for that to load and see what we come back with. The other thing you could do, yeah, I haven't tested it, but you could probably plug in on Open Manus, you could plug in the Claude 3.7 Sonnet API, and that would help a lot too. That's another option. What you can also do is you could use something like bold.new. That's another alternative, right? But again, these are more like coding tools. They're not really like fully autonomous agents, right? So for example, if it's a research task, planning a trip, or for example, even like sending emails and stuff like that, I bet you could get Manus to do if you gave it the login details, or like posting tweets and that sort of thing. You can't do that inside Bolt, right? So Bolt.new is great for coding a project. And also quite often Bolt is very buggy. I'll show you an example I was trying to build yesterday. So I asked Bolt to create this AI SEO content creator. And I wanted to test, has it updated and improved since I last started using it, right? So I asked it to create an SEO content writer. And it's really good. Bolt is great for like simple stuff, but it's not great for like complex stuff, like where you have to put in your own API key. So for example, if we wait for this to load, it's going to start installing it right here. The biggest problem that I had, it doesn't even seem to be working on the biggest problem I had was like, it would constantly come up with these problems right here. So let's try and run this right here. You see how you can't just come back to the project? And then it just constantly has these problems. And I was just clicking through the chat for 20 minutes last night going, solve the problem, solve the problem. So bolt.new is definitely not perfect. It can create like really basic stuff. But let's see how we got on with the interactive moon example. So it says it's creating the project, building it out. Let's see what we got in the preview. Yeah, so that's not working, is it? Let's try another one. We'll test this one. So this was creating a Julian Goldie website, which I think it did okay on, but it's nowhere near as good as Manus. So let's wait for that to load. Yeah, so here's an example, right? And that image is interesting, to say the least. It's definitely not me. It's created a really basic website, but it's not that impressive. Whereas, for example, if we go over to the AI Profit Boardroom, and then we'll find that page that we're talking about. Where is it now? Yeah, the website. This is what Manus built, and that is 10 times better than what we got previously from bolt.new, right? This is what bolt.new did, and this is what Manus did with the same prompting. So you get the point. Like these AI coding tools, like for example, Bolt, for example, Lovable, Visual Studio Code, etc. They're powerful, but they're not as good as this. And Manus might be a modified version of Claude. It might be like a wrapper, but it gives you better outputs in Claude. I've done another video on Manus versus Claude, so I'm not going to do that today, but you get the point. So that makes, some of the things that we're talking about here today make sense. So thanks so much for watching. You now know which one is better. Manus is better by a long way, but the only problem is you can only do one prompt. I'm on the beta testing. I can only do one prompt per day before it runs out of credits. So if I had a choice, honestly, I'll probably go with Convergence AI out of everything. Open Manus is like very basic. You could use a Claude API to get better outputs, but I just don't think it's anywhere near up to par when it comes to, say, comparing it versus Convergence AI or against Manus. That's what I would say. Now, if you want to get access to all of my best automations with AI, for example, like email, social media, video automation, AI agents, web scraping, AI SEO automation, and all of my best SOPs, which get updated daily, so all the latest cutting edge techniques get put inside here, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. It also comes with weekly Q&A calls, so you can jump on the weekly Q&A calls, ask any questions you have. And additionally, inside the community, you can ask questions and then, you get comments and help as you go along, right? So if you ever get stuck with AI, which, 99% of people do tend to get stuck with it, then you can post inside the community and ask any questions that you have. And additionally, if you miss the Q&As, then you can watch them back, right? So if you can't make one of the Q&As, just jump on the Q&A call recordings, ask anything that you want to. And if you want to get a free SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments in the description. And one-to-one on this free SEO strategy session, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you're going to get a free SEO domination plan, custom tailored to your business to get more leads, sales, and profits. You'll discover the secrets of SEO link building, answer any questions you have one-to-one, and you'll also learn how to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. If you want to get into the school community, click on the link in the comments description to the AI Profit Boardroom, or you can just go to aiprofitboardroom.com and get access right there. Appreciate you watching. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. Manus AI. Today, I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about how to use Manus AI agents to automate, to build anything you want, to create SaaS tools, to create directories or websites or games even, and how to get started from the very basics all the way to the most advanced stuff that I've done directly with Manus. Now, this is a bit of a game changer because it's very autonomous, right? So this is kind of like what we imagined ChatGPT would be able to do. It can, for example, just go off on the internet, figure stuff out, problem solve, do its own research, browse the web, use websites. It is extremely powerful. Now, what I've also done inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, is break everything down into step-by-step SOPs like you can see right here, along with some examples of how to make money with Manus. You've got all my best examples of what I built. And additionally, if you want to learn how to set up Open Manus, which some are saying is like a local version of Manus, but you don't need to wait for an invitation code or anything like that, you can get that directly inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the SOP section. And you might be wondering, okay, what makes Manus AI stand out? Well, it can, for example, control and do multiple things in the background. So you can see right here, it's actually controlling 50 different screens. This is the AI just working autonomously like an army of AI robots. You can also see, for example, here, someone has a self-driving Tesla with Manus in the background actually briefing them on the next meeting. It has autonomous task execution. So unlike, for example, AI assistants like ChatGPT that can really only offer suggestions, Manus can independently execute tasks. So it can write reports, spreadsheets, it can analyze data, it can create content, it can travel and search the web, it can create files, and it can also deploy websites. It's also multimodal. So for example, you can upload screenshots and that sort of thing and upload files. And it has advanced tool invocation, which basically means it can use like web browsers. It can create code and edit with it. And it's actually outperforming all the other best models on the Gaia benchmark, right? So in terms of like deep research in AI agent performance, it's performing the best out of everywhere. And the thing is as well, we really need to all understand this because, AI agents are going to have a serious social economic implication. So for example, like job displacement, I think Goldman Sachs estimated that 300 million jobs will be displaced by AI agents. And that's really on the verge of the horizon, right? We can all see that happening in real time. And also, there's a serious risk that if you don't understand AI, you could be really disempowered as you go ahead. So it's really important to watch this course step by step. Like I said, even if you don't have an invitation code to Manus, I'm sure it'll be available soon. But number two, you can actually watch these demos live on the website. It's got, for example, examples of the AI agent doing research, live data analysis, education, productivity. Here's an example of a website actually built with just one single prompt and deployed using Manus. And here's an example of a medieval game I actually built using Manus as well. So you can see, for example, here we can zoom in, zoom out, and we can control the character very easily indeed. All right. And we can just be a medieval character walking around a castle. And it's pretty wild stuff. Now, if you want to demo it, for example, let's have a look here. So if we wanted to, for example, deeply analyze Tesla stocks, we can click on this demo. I do have live access. But again, if you don't have an invitation code, you can just see the demos here. And additionally, like I said, you can set up Open Manus. I'll cover that later in this course so that you can actually run a similar version of Manus locally on your laptop. And I'll show you exactly how to set that up step by step later in this course. So here's an example of the AI agent just going off, coding, doing research in real time, creating all these charts and analysis here. So it's pretty amazing what it can do. And, could a human realistically just go off and do that? Well, 99% of humanity couldn't, right? So at this point, we're looking at something that's probably smarter than most humans, more powerful, works more productively, doesn't take the weekends off, and doesn't need to be paid hourly either. Absolutely wild. I actually got Manus to create a website about itself so that you can understand what it does. And basically, it is like a autonomous helper that can just go out and do stuff, right? It's like your little robot friend right here, going off, doing lots of jobs. It works by itself. It can see and understand things. It can use tools, and it gets better and better over time. And this is just the beginning, my friends. So here it is in real life. I actually created this prompt right here to figure out and research about itself. It can execute commands in terminal, like you can see, and it can actually search on the web. So you can see here it says searching Manus AI agent features capabilities. Then it started browsing Hugging Face, like you can see. And we can actually see it like just looking at the website here, scrolling around, then doing the research, gathering all the details it needs. It can create files as well. So for example, like this one, you can see this file that it created, and we can skip through all the research that it did step by step. Now, to get started, you just go to new session, type in what you want. You can switch between standard. Standard mode is basically like the balance between quality and speed. And that's probably going to do the job for most people here. But if you need to create something super advanced, then it actually has high effort mode that employs a longer chain of thought and performs more detailed task breakdown, but it requires a bit more processing time. By the way, if you want to know how I got access and how I got an invitation code to this, I'll cover that later in this course as well, in case you're looking for an early invite code. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to be running through Manus, which is absolutely popping off right now. This is a new Chinese AI agent that can control your browser. And it's kind of like a DeepSeek moment. If we have a look at some of the use cases, you'll see what I mean. Bear in mind, I'm paying $200 a month right now. I'm feeling like an absolute plonker because you can get it for free at Manus from what I've seen so far. And it's pretty wild what you can do. You see some of the stuff. I'll be running you through some of the demos today and how it works, etc. For example, for research, life, data analysis, education, productivity, it can find you potential customers. Or it can even do like schedules for candidate interviews. It can do website SEO optimization. And I'll run you through exactly what this means and how it's working so far. But here's the craziest thing that I've seen out of all of this, and it absolutely blew my mind, but terrified me at the same time when I saw this, which is, let me pull this up for you. There's a video of the AI actually controlling like 50 different screens at the same time. Let me pull this up for you. So you can see here, this is a tweet from Mahesh, who says China is on the verge of becoming AI superpower with release of its second gen AI Manus, claimed to perform 50 tasks at a time and more powerful than the first gen AI DeepSeek AI, right? And you can see a video of it here. So it's controlling all these responsive screens, kind of like they're all, you got tweets, you got it checking out Twitter, you've got it, for example, scrolling through feeds, checking out WhatsApp or maybe Telegram, something like that. Like, it's pretty wild what it can do. And this is probably the future that we're looking at, to be honest with you. So I'm going to run you through exactly how it works step by step, what it looks like, how you can use it, etc. And we'll start with an example that we've got right here. So this is very similar to ChatGPT in the way it's laid out. You kind of got like the canvas and the results over here. So these are the end results of the itinerary that we've got for Japan. And basically what we said was 7-day Japan itinerary with proposal ideas. So the original prompt for this demo is, I need a 7-day Japanese itinerary for April 15 from Seattle with a 2,000 to 5,000 budget for my fiance and me, blah, blah, blah. Lots of detail right there. And then it's actually gone off and like researched all of this. Now, the interesting thing about this is it can actually execute commands. It can create files, right? So for example, if we click on this, we can see the file that is created, which is a to-do.md. It can also search the web. It can actually browse the web as well. So, kind of like Claude does. Claude is the only one that I've seen actually do this decently so far. But you can see here, for example, it's actually browse the web, taking a cheeky little screenshot. We can play the footage of the browse use as well. So it's actually, if we keep scrolling forward here, you can see how it's just searching the web, doing lots of deep research. And the AI agent is just going off and figuring everything out. Pretty wild. And you can see here as well, like it's just analyzed, okay, here's what we need to do, here's how it's going to work, etc. And this is just one of the prompts that you can do step by step. So it's pretty wild. It's wild to see like Chinese AI just, move so quickly on this, right? Like we've seen the rise of DeepSeek and how that overtook ChatGPT and the SERPs. Now we're seeing the rise of Manus, the AI agent developed by Monica, and it was just launched a couple of days ago, right? So it's March the 8th today. And this was launched on March the 6th. I've seen it trending. I've seen people post about it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you pull that up, link in the comments description. I actually saw one of our legendary members, Ricardo, who said, is this going to be the game changer? And it's been pretty wild, Potentially this could be another Chinese victory when it comes to AI. So crazy stuff right here. And if we have a look through some of the examples, so you can see how it works step by step here. So it can just go off, it can research the internet, it can create different demos, you can browse the web, and it's really, really good at research as well. So this is a demo feed video as well from the co-founder and chief scientist. So you can see here as well, like you can upload resumes in a zip file. It has like this canvas option, and you can see how it's opening up the PDFs inside the zip. It seems to work really fast. I think this is a sped up version, to be fair, in the demo. But you can see how it just sort of flies through all the files, figures everything out, looks for everything, and just does its magic step by step. But not only that, but it can actually like create files directly on your laptop, which, ChatGPT Operator can't. Now, if you want to compare this side by side versus ChatGPT Operator, let me show you how that works. So if you go onto ChatGPT here, let me pull this up for you, and you can see an example. So if we come on to ChatGPT and then we go over to Operator, in the top left here, we can start using operator. And, you can say, for example, okay, let's compare this side by side versus Manus. So bear in mind, from what I've seen, Manus, I can't see any prices listed. So maybe it's going to be, a premium or freemium model in the future, but I can't see any prices listed yet. Whereas Operator, ChatGPT Operator, I paid for the Pro package, which is like, what, $200 a month, $2,400 a year. So if we pull this up right here, and I'm going to say inside the chat here, I need a 7-day Japan itinerary. We're going to click OK on that right here. And we'll see which one just gives us the best results so far. So it can operate the browser, which is great. I don't think it can actually create files for you, unlike Manus, which can actually create files directly in the chat. We'll wait for that to load. You can also take control, but you can see here how slow it is as well using the operator browser. If we pull this up full screen, for example, it's only got to one website, and how long has that taken? Like a minute or so, something like that. Now, if we have a look at the details, we can see what it's doing. So it's researching, exploring. We'll keep this running in the background, and we'll come back to it occasionally during the video and just see how it does. But the way that I've seen this running this is far more impressive. Now, this is just one demo. Let's have a look at a few others here. So we've also got, for example, like deeply analyzed Tesla stocks. Let's have a look what we got on productivity, see if we've got anything interesting here. I'd be interested to see what it can do in terms of interacting with things, if that makes sense. So, how can it interact with the world, and can it, for example, like book things on the internet and that sort of thing as well? And let's see what we got here. So we can, for example, we'll go for this one. Buy real estate in New York. So it's kind of like a deep research agent. We're going to click on that. And then it's going to take a couple of minutes to load. Now you can see how it's running through. Right? So this is a recorded demo. Now, if you look at the speed of this, I don't know if this is sped up, right? But if you look at the speed of this compared to the speed of ChatGPT Operator, this is way, way slower. And it seems to like speed through the internet and it also seems to be a little bit smarter. Like the thing I noticed about ChatGPT Operator, for example, is like it gets stuck on a lot of websites. And also if there's any sort of capture, it just, you've got no chance. You've got absolutely no chance with ChatGPT Operator. Whereas Manus seems to like just do its magic step by step. So pretty interesting stuff right there. Let's keep going to see what we get next. So we've got the data analysis as well. So it can also create charts. Let's try that. So we'll create the company organizational charts. And I think this is the way the future is going. I know that, for example, recently Opera actually released an AI agent browser. This is the future of the internet, really. Let's have a look at this. Operated browser. So Opera browser unveils AI agent that handles online tasks for you. Similar sort of process, see, it's kind of like a similar chat setup. But from what I can see, Manus seems to be a lot more free and a lot more proven. I haven't really seen anyone speak about the ChatGPT Operator method. So it also seems to be using some sort of like deep reasoning model when it's going through the internet. So you see how it's coming up with thinking quite often at the bottom there. Pretty interesting. And then it's creating the chart step by step. So you can see these files right here. So if we preview the file, we can see the files that it's created, the leadership data, etc. And it can also edit files, like you can see right here. So you see the original, diff, and the modified. This is the research on real estate, so buying property in New York with low crime and education needs. And then again, we've got the files at the end of it. So it's found us like 4 different areas right there, some examples, and then we've got the results that we can preview. And you can also view all the files, and then you can just download them like so, right? So we can actually download that file directly from the chat right there. We can also locate it in the chat. And yeah, pretty wild. Whereas inside ChatGPT Operator, obviously this is in like a sort of Yeah, it's in a separate sort of virtual environment, but you wouldn't be able to download or edit files directly. Like it's just going to do the research, and quite often it does get stuck directly. Let's see what else people are saying about this. So, yeah, it's kind of like a deep research and operator. The other thing here is like a lot of Chinese social media already knows about it, but it's not really that common. I think it's just been announced to the world, really, the rest of the world outside of China today. If you look at some of the reports and what's going on over here, what else we got here? Yeah, so Rowan Chung, he says, I think China's DeepSeek second moment is here. It's going crazy viral in China, probably only a matter of time until it hits the US. It's like deep research plus operator plus Claude computer use combined, and it's really good. Let's see what else we got here. So for the first test, Rowan asked Manus to create a biography on Rowan Chung and deploy a website based on that biography. And then it actually seemed to do it. So let's have a look what we got here. So you can see it's writing the biography, coming up the research, and then does it actually deploy the website? That's pretty crazy if it does. Yes, look at that. You actually got the website created based on the deep research about Rowan Chung and the tasks he's created there. And then, yeah, it's just designed the whole website. Let's have a look what we got here. So this test something a bit practical, top rental spots in San Francisco. And then you get the deep research reports back. You know, the thing is here, right? You can use, for example, ChatGPT operator, but ChatGPT operator is very, very slow. You know, you can see how long it takes. And also it just gets stuck. Like you can see how there's no files created here. So it's done all this research right here on the left-hand side, but there's no files or information or research created. Whereas if you go into Manus, it will actually create the files step by step for you, and it will edit files directly for you. You could also, for example, use something like Perplexity.ai, but the problem with Perplexity AI is like it can't actually scroll through websites. So it doesn't have that computer use feature where it can look through the internet and scan for you. So if we go on to Perplexity, for example, and we're like, right, okay, give me some examples of real estate in New York. Like, it can do a decent amount of research for you, but it's not going to be able to browse the web and scroll through websites and screenshot the image and then figure out, okay, what's going on here. It's just like a very basic sort of search feature, kind of like a glorified Google at that point. So it's kind of interesting to see how Manus is just hitting the web here. You can actually join their Discord channel, right? So they have a Discord channel here. Let me pull it up for you. Manus AI. And they seem to be releasing like invitation codes each day. I tried some of these and couldn't actually get them. You can see a lot of crying emojis right there. So you can actually as well go on to Twitter and you can reply to this tweet with a task that you'd like Manus to handle, and then the team will run a request based on what you want, right? So for example, see some examples here. Someone said, draft a proposal for a solar-powered self-sufficient home at these coordinates. Home should be 200 square meters, single floor, 3 attached garages, etc. And they actually replied. We're doing the search for them, which is pretty amazing. Let's have a look what else people have said here. So create a dynamic dashboard. And wow, is that hosted already? Let's pull this up and see what we got here. That'd be interesting. So it's doing a dashboard for NVIDIA stock analysis. These demos must be sped up. They're so fast, it's crazy. If you're actually trying to sign up on the website directly, so if we click on get started here, you do need an invitation code. If you don't have a code, you have to apply for access. And then you put your email, you put some details about how they can help you submit the request, and then hope to hear back. And also, it looks like daily they're releasing new invitation codes. So, for example, here, today, 1 p.m., well, 1:30 p.m., they release these invitation codes. When I checked a few hours later, like they were all exhausted, and none of these codes were working, right? So if I grab that one and we go over to Manus, plug in the invitation code, hit get started, it will say resource exhausted, invitation code has reached the maximum amount. So it seems pretty hard to get access right now, but hopefully there's more access in the future. And also we've got some cool use cases here. So inside the Discord channel, they're showing a bunch of use cases here. Pretty active Discord channel as well. You see there's like 6,000 people right there. And then you've got like all these video demos that you can play right there. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when that comes out. I can imagine it's either going to be free or it's going to be even cheaper than ChatGPT Operator. I mean, it can't get much more expensive, to be fair. And if you go back to Operator, like it's still not done any of the research, right? Let's be honest. I mean, the first couple of days that I tried it was interesting, but it hasn't improved since then. And that was about a month ago at least. So it's, ChatGPT Operator and all these other AI features are just getting replaced by Chinese AI at the minute. That's what I'm seeing as a continuous trend here. And it's pretty crazy. I don't know what's going to happen next. Let's see what else we got. So here's the report for Manus here. Manus, so yeah, just check it out. It's on the website. I would definitely check out the Discord as well. We can also review the benchmarks, right? So GAI-A is a benchmark for evaluating general AI assistance. And I never trust these benchmarks, but if you do trust these benchmarks, here they are, right? So you can compare the Gaia benchmark versus Manus AI versus OpenAI versus the previous SOTA, right? So you can see that Manus is absolutely destroying OpenAI deep research on all of these different levels, which is pretty interesting. And this was sourced from the deep research app directly. Let's see what else they're tweeting about as well. So we've got the details here. More updates coming. Yeah, I think the best way to test out is just actually post a reply to this tweet and try and get access that way. But yeah, you can see everyone's trying to get access. Maybe everyone in China got access first, something like that. So that is it from me, peeps. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments. If you haven't joined the AI Profit Boardroom yet, feel free to get that link in the comments description. This comes with all of my best SOPs, templates, tutorials, AI agents, and workflows, including how to automate email and content automations, social media and video, AI agents, web automation and scraping, AI SEO automations, and a crash course plus a bunch of SOPs. We also record the Q&A recordings that we do each week. You can ask inside the community if you have any questions. And additionally, you can jump on the weekly Q&A calls with us and just ask any questions that you have. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month, feel free to get that link in the comments description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales multiplier. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get an SEO domination plan. So this will be a custom tailored plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You will discover the secrets of SEO link building. Answer any questions you have. You learn the best link building strategy for your website. And you'll learn how to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching as always. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. Manus, the Chinese AI autonomous agent, is absolutely wild. I'm going to be showing you exactly how it works, some examples of what it can create, how powerful it is. And this is a new technology that's just come from China. It can control your browser. It can do research for you. It can actually see your screen. It can do Google searches. It can create code. It can deploy websites even. And it's actually outperforming OpenAI's deep research model on many of the main benchmarks. Now, I'm going to be covering examples of how to use it, plus even how to set up a version of this offline locally on your terminal. I'll be running through the instructions and exactly how to set it up later in this video. This is by far the closest thing I've seen to AGI, and I'll show you some examples, but it can, for example, like control 50 different screens at a time. There's videos of people driving Teslas whilst the AI agent is briefing them for their next meeting. I've never seen anything like it, but we'll come on to that later. Let's go. The Chinese AI, Manus, is taking over the internet. It's pretty wild. I mean, here's a couple of examples. You can see this AI agent can control browsers. It can, for example, control like 50 different screens at a time. It can even chat, like you can see right here. Here's another example. And so this is someone basically using Tesla, like you can see, and then Manus is prepping all the talking points. So you've got Tesla driving, and then you also have Manus just doing all the instructions for the meeting, etc. Now, if you want to get access, it's available at manus.am. I'm also going to show you an open sourced version of this that's pretty interesting. This basically allows you to run Manus locally, and I'll be coming on to that in a minute, plus how I set it up. All the details and all the links from today are inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you just go to the S&P section and then Manus, you can see all the instructions for setting this up, open source and everything else. But yeah, so here's an example of how it works. So if we click on like deeply analyze Tesla stocks, we can see a demo of how it works. We'll play this right here. And basically the prompt here is, I'd like thorough analysis of Tesla stock, including a summary, financial data, market sentiment, technical analysis, value investor, etc. Right? And you can see here how on the right hand side, it can just run commands. It can open up browsers. It actually has vision as well. So it can actually like interact with browsers and computer use and like scroll up and down the internet basically on its mission to really look through the internet. Now, the other thing that I've noticed is like compared to, other models, which I'll come on to later, that are available, for example, like ChatGPT Operator. ChatGPT Operator, it costs $200 a month and it can't even do half the stuff that this can. This can also create like files as well. And it can also deploy to the internet different URLs that it creates, which is pretty wild as well. And you see here some of the images that it's created, which is pretty cool. So it can like analyze and look at charts. And also, if you want to skip through in the demos, like examples of what it looks like, etc., you can just click the forward arrows right here. And then once it's completed, you'll see an example like this. It's like, right, I've completed the market sentiment analysis for Tesla. Here's what I've noticed. So it's looked at like Yahoo Finance, research reports, insider trading activity, SEC filings, social media sentiment, and then it's come back like this. Plus, you can see all the files in the session. You can actually download these. So you can either preview it now, or you can download them later, right? So if we click on preview here, we can preview the images that it's used inside the document. Pretty wild. And then you can see the full chat right here. So there's a bunch of different demos that you can test out, like you can see. And also, when you're using this process, you can actually run this locally. So let me show you an example. Here's an example of me using Open Manus, which looks like an open source sort of recreated version of Manus. It just doesn't have the same UI, but it's running inside Terminal. Now, if you want to set that up, you can actually go to GitHub. Let me pull this up. It's inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to join and get the instructions for setting up. But basically, you can go to Open Manus on GitHub. I would definitely install it inside a virtual environment. So I use Minicoder to set this up. If you want the instructions on how to do that inside the AI Profit, so just click on the setup instructions right there and you'll learn how to set up. But basically, like you can see right here, you can basically do research just like Manus, but it's hosted locally and it can still connect to the internet and everything else. It can still do, for example, like Google searches, and you can open up the browser and also. So what you do is you create a new content environment, clone the repository, install the dependencies. Probably took me about 30 minutes to figure out, okay, how to set up, but you can just follow the instructions here. It will save you a lot of time. And then I was wondering like whether this is legit or not, but it's got like 2,400 forks, 15,800 reviews, 155 people watching it. And it's created by these guys who are actually from Meta GPT's team, as you can see. So the problem with, for example, like trying to use Manus directly, if you go to get started here, is that if you want to start using it, you have to have an invitation code, right? And everyone's trying to get an invitation code right now. So it's very difficult to get access. Whereas if you set up locally, you can just get instant access today. You can also apply for access as well. I've tried a couple of times with a couple of different email addresses and not got access. And bear in mind, like, I have a decent social media following in the same niche, so you'd think maybe they would want to give you early access, but not so far. And then if you try and sign in, it just won't let you. So if we click on continue with Google and try opening this up, yeah, we can't get into it, right? There is also a Discord link inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but if you want to get access to the Discord, they do announce invitation codes like you can see right here. So they share about 5 invitation codes right here, but it's first come, first served, right? And there are literally thousands of people. There's like 7,000 people online just waiting for an invitation code. So it's really, really difficult to get it. Whereas if you set this up locally using the GitHub, then you can just run this locally and get access that way. And it seems to be a lot easier. So for example, if we come onto the local version right here, what you can say, for example, let me pull this up. I'll grab an example prompt. Let's grab this. All right. So if we go back onto terminal here, we've got it running. So we've got Manus, open Manus running here. And I'm going to say inside the chat, let me zoom in for you there. We're going to say, Manus, create a 7-day itinerary in Japan. All right. So we'll copy that in. Paste that in. So create a 7-day Tokyo itinerary with daily activities. And that's going to start running the request. Basically, just doesn't have the UI, but it's using the same process. So you can see how it plans out the whole process. For example, we'll say create a plan for visiting New York for 7 days. And we can start planning out the process. There we go. All right. So now it's actually doing, I had to just close it and then reopen it. So you can see here how it's actually Googling, for example, and it's actually opened up this browser here as well. So you can actually, like, for example, use google.com or Google Flights or whatever, and start scanning through the internet, which is pretty cool. And also the API that it's using when it's doing this whole process is a combination of Claude. So I've set Claude 3.5 Sonnet for vision. And then for actually using the research and the planning, and just the main LLM, we've used ChatGPT, GPT-4o, right? And you see here how it's just going off, researching flights, navigating, entering travel details, etc., right? And then it plans out the next steps for you. So it also gives you a update of the steps so far. So for example, it's on step 8 out of 30 so far. And then you just get an update step by step. So if we scroll through the chat here, you can see how it's set up and use different things. It's also got a bunch of tools built in. So for example, like browser use tool, that sort of thing. It's not as fast as the demos make it out to be, but this is the open source version, right? So it's not the main version of Manus. And it will just go off and start doing its magic. So we'll wait for that to load in the background. In the meantime, we can have a look through a few more use cases and that sort of thing. And so, for example, here, we've got a WTF section. So for example, like brand identity design. Let's pull up this demo right here. We'll see what we get back. And it seems to be able to run like terminal commands as well. So it can code, it can edit, it can use computer use. It can actually read pages live. And then it can also create files that you can download. So you can, for example, download that. Then if we open this up, we should have the folder. And then you can start using it. You can also preview the files here. And you can view all the files directly. See all the documents, the images, the code files, and the links. Let's come back to terminal, see where we're at here. So it's now doing another Google search. Looking through Skyscanner. Coming up with a plan. Let's see what else we got here. And this is on step 28 out of 30. So you can also do like audio engineering. Let's pull this up. So design sound effects that mixes birds chirping with stream sounds lasting around 3 seconds. Here's a bunch more examples, right? So this is a tweet by Min Choi. So you can, for example, like create an interactive website based on data insights. So it can actually, like, for example, code the website, but then on top of that, like you can see, you can actually deploy it to the web. Let's see what else we got here. We got interactive gaming. seem to have created like a roleplay simulation as President Zelensky. Some crazy stuff people were doing with this. Travel plan with maps. Website SEO optimization. So for example, it can like look at your website, give you some tips on how to improve. Plus, I guess it can read the HTML as well. Stock analysis, candidate interview schedules, B2B supplier sourcing. So there's a lot of use cases for this. It just looks a lot more freer than something like, for example, ChatGPT operator. Let's test another prompt here. So I'm going to say, plan out and find me some interesting things to do on the internet today. Plus do a stock analysis of Tesla. Let's try some of these prompts that we actually got online from the use cases. I think you might have to shut this down. So I'm going to press Control and C, and then we'll plug in the prompt again for running it on Python. So let's grab that over here, copy that command. And then from here, we are going to grab, let's have a look here. Here we go. Let's grab that. Yeah, so it looks like, so for example, it's open up the browser again there. So it looks like if you're running it locally, the best way to do that is just Control and C, shut it down, then open it up again each time you want to run this. Otherwise, it doesn't seem to work properly. It just goes into like some weird planning mode. Let's try the potential customers one. So we're going to play this now, see what we get back. By the way, so when you're using the local version as well, you just want to make sure that you do have, for example, the API plugged in directly inside the .env, right? So just make sure you have Claude 3.5 Sonnet set up, or even 3.7 Sonnet might be better. And then from there, add your OpenAI details as well. If you're wondering how to set that up, you can actually go inside Open Manus. So you just set up this config file, and then you can choose your LLM configuration and also your LLM vision configuration, like so. But yeah, it seems to be able to do like Google searches pretty easily, and it can open up the browser as well, which is useful. The local version, though, it's just, I don't think I would use this normally, right? Like, it's nowhere near as good as, for example, using something like web browser UI or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend the local version. It's worth testing, just see what it's like. I don't know if I've set that up properly or not, but it looks pretty terrible if you ask me. So thanks so much for watching. If you want access to the whole process for setting this up locally with Open Manus, feel free to get that, plus the Discord link and everything else. It's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Prices are going up very shortly, so make sure you join before you miss out, and to lock in your legacy price. And also, if you want to save hundreds of hours and make more money with AI, this is the best place to do it. It comes with all my best automations like email and content, social media and video, AI agents, web automation and scraping. Plus, this gets updated every single day, along with a crash course for saving hundreds of hours and some of my best automations. On top of that, there's a community of 289 members. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask inside the community and we'll be happy to help you. Link in the comments and description to that. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors per month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. On this free link building acceleration session, you get a free SEO domination plan that's custom tailored to your business. So you can get more leads, sales, and profits and customers to your website. On top of that, you'll be able to ask us any questions. Now, normally this will cost thousands of dollars. You get it for free on this one-to-one call, and you'll learn how to increase your SEO traffic so you can scale your business based on what's working for us and our happy clients. Manus, the Chinese AI autonomous agent, versus ChatGPT deep research mode, versus ChatGPT operator, versus Perplexity deep research. Who wins? I'm going to be testing them out and comparing them side by side in terms of outputs, and we'll see who wins. Plus, I'll show you several examples. Let's go. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to compare the results that you get directly from Manus versus the results that you get back directly from Perplexity and ChatGPT Pro. So we'll get operator on this side. We'll grab Perplexity here as well. So Perplexity has like a deep research method as well. Operator is kind of like similar because it uses browser use too. And bear in mind, like with Manus, you can fully control web browsers. You can create downloadable files. You can deploy websites, perform deep research. So it kind of combines all of the best features, but we'll test it versus ChatGPT and Perplexity now as well. And just to recap here, so Manus is a Chinese AI, and it's kind of like the DeepSeek moment. You know, when DeepSeek came out and it kind of shook the world a little bit, it was like a lot faster and a lot cheaper than using ChatGPT. This is kind of a similar situation where it's just absolutely blown up. I mean, for example, if you go on to Twitter and you look at all the trending news around this, it's pretty wild. See, like, it's, a lot of people are tweeting about it now. And bear in mind as well, like, ChatGPT was talking about doing a $20,000 per month AI agent plan. That was something that was leaked from the information. That's the source for that. But this is kind of like combining everything together, right? So it's kind of like Claude plus an MCP server, plus deep research, plus ChatGPT operator in one single thing. And like loads of Chinese social media is going crazy about this. So let's compare it versus, for example, ChatGPT operator and Perplexity. What I'm going to do is we'll go to use cases and we'll just compare it side by side versus this prompt right here. In fact, I've already shown that one, so we're going to do this one. So we'll grab this prompt. I'm going to say, I'm a middle school physics teacher preparing to teach the law of conservation of momentum. Could you create a series of clear and accurate demonstration animations and organize them into a simple presentation HTML? We'll do that with operator, and we'll do that directly with Perplexity as well. Now, you could also, for example, try and use Claude, but the problem with Claude is it's not connected to the internet, right? So it's only going to have data. It's not going to be able to do deep research for you. So if you want to do deep research, really, your only two options are like ChatGPT operator, and also Perplexity. We can also, for example, like use a deep research method on ChatGPT as well. So I'll try that. We can just compare them. So this is ChatGPT deep research operator and also Perplexity, right? Using the deep research feature. Now, the biggest difference here is like this can browse live web pages, similar to operator, but look at the speed of operator. Like, look how slow it is when it's actually looking through pages. And also it tends to get stuck a lot. So for example, if it's searching something on Google Maps, that's going to be blocked. And also YouTube is blocked directly inside operator. Whereas Manus doesn't seem to have those sort of limitations. And also I like the fact that you don't have to open up the thinking here. So if you want to see updates from ChatGPT operator, you don't get updates inside the chat. You have to click inside each one of these, but it doesn't really give you much of an update. Whereas inside Manus, you get all these breakdowns step by step, plus the files as you go along. So for example, you've got like the zip files here, you can preview them, you can view all the files in the session, and then it also hosts it on an open URL. So this is the output from Manus, and it's actually done exactly what we needed to, whereas I don't think ChatGPT operator will be able to do it. But let's come back to it now. So it's like, would you like me to proceed with creating the HTML presentation? I'm going to say yes. Perplexity is still thinking about it, and deep research is asking me for a few answers, so I'm just going to click yes. Also, I mean, who is using Bing.com? Right, so Bing.com is loading here. But if I was an AI agent, I'm not going to go to Bing.com for my answers, right? I'm going to use something like, for example, Google. Google would be pretty straightforward, right? Let's see if Manus.space is actually indexing on Google as well. We can probably see some of the other stuff people are creating. So let's check that out. Yeah, so you can see a couple of pages of examples here. I'm not going to open that up for now. So someone has created a like SaaS tool with testimonials inside Manus.space, right? So just to be clear here, like all the deployments from Manus are going to Manus.space, and then some of this stuff is actually indexed. You can see how a lot of this is in Chinese as well. It seems to be way, way more open in China. And I actually saw as well, like if you type on reddit.com and you search Manus, a lot of the results are actually based in Asia, right? So this is Thai, Chinese. Like there's not many people in English talking about it. I think it's just not fully come out to the world yet. Let's put Manus AI and see what else we got here. See what people are saying about it. So these are the benchmarks as well, if you haven't seen them already. So the Gaia benchmark compared to OpenAI Deep Research, and this is Manus in black with OpenAI in dark gray. And you can see the benchmarks here, like Manus is absolutely destroying it. I never really trust those benchmarks, but you can see the difference. Let's pull up some examples here. So this was the 50 screens example. It just looks terrifying that an AI agent just go through the internet and do that. And apparently as well, it's going to be open source. I mean, this is the other interesting thing about Chinese AI at the minute. I saw an interesting theory on this. I'm going to pull this up and see what you think. So this is from Hader on Twitter. And he basically said, no surprise, China is open sourcing everything on purpose to crash US market, right? So I don't know if you saw this, but the situation with DeepSeek, right, was like it actually impacted the stock market to the point where Nvidia's stock price crashed as soon as DeepSeek came out. If you haven't seen that already, I've got a video about it recently. But basically, it actually plummeted Nvidia's stock price by 17%, right? And that's a huge amount to impact in like, the space of a few days. And on top of that, when DeepSeek was released, it actually resulted in a single day loss of nearly $1 trillion in market value for the US tech sector, right? Why? Because it's open source, and also because DeepSeek's API is just way cheaper, right? So it kind of shocked the market that you could be so efficient with it. And if it's the same thing with Manus as well, when it gets fully released, then it's going to be pretty wild. It absolutely could impact the US stock market. Bear in mind, like the S&P 500 is mostly dominated by Nvidia. And so if that impacts Nvidia's stock price again, then that could create like massive changes in the market again. I'm not saying like the whole US market is going to get destroyed, but would it have an impact on the stock prices again? Absolutely. So I've got the HTML back from Perplexity now, but the thing is, it's not going to deploy it to a URL, right? Whereas, for example, with Manus, if we come back here, we can actually see the deployment, and it's deployed on a subdomain. And then we can click through each of these. So let's compare this now. We're going to grab this HTML and we'll just see how it performs and how it holds up versus Manus's AI. We'll preview this on LiveWeave. So this is the output from Perplexity versus the output of Manus, right? And we'll pull these up side by side so you can see. So just to be clear here, Manus on this side, split up. So this is Manus's output, and this is the code from Perplexity. Now, if you compare them, like, look at the difference in coding. All right. So for example, you got a full menu here. You have a UI that actually works. This UI doesn't seem to work at all. Let's see if, I don't think it's put any JS or CSS to add in there. No, not at all. Oh, we've got the JS there. Let's pull that up. We'll try it out. So we'll put the JS in there. I'm just going to plug all of this JS in. It is a little bit more fiddly, like not having a subdomain that is hosted on live. But to be fair, I'm impressed with Perplexity's output. So let's compare them side by side now. So it's actually working. And if we click through each of these, this actually works. We can click play, and that'll work perfectly, right? If we switch to LiveWeave, so the output from Perplexity, the UI is just not as nice. There's no like real explanation of what's going on. There's no like buttons where you can play or pause or reset on Perplexity's output. And so the coding output is much better directly from Manus. And that's the biggest difference here is like Perplexity is a great research tool, but it's not like designed for coding, right? It's not out and out designed for stuff like this. Let's see what else we got here. So we're going to go over to operator. And it said task pause while you're away. That's not great, but okay, let's review it. So basically, ChatGPT operator is going nowhere, right? It's been like 15 minutes. It's not really doing anything there. So, I mean, the problem with ChatGPT operator is like realistically, it would just be faster doing it yourself or just using an AI tool manually, right? Especially if it pauses whilst you're using other tabs, because then, the whole point of this is like this can do stuff whilst you're not looking. And if it pauses in between tasks, and then you have to go back and manually click it again, super annoying. So Perplexity probably comes out second there when it comes to the research job. Manus comes out number one with the outputs. And then ChatGPT operator is obviously coming out last. Like it's not doing anything right there. It's not very useful at all. So this gives you an idea for how ChatGPT and Perplexity and Manus all compare to each other. Let's compare on another task right here. So I'm going to go over to productivity, and then let's pull up this one, website SEO optimization. So we'll hit play on that and see what it does. So this prompt is run a thorough SEO audit on Kapathi's website and deliver a detailed optimization report with actionable recommendations. All right, and it will just go off and do its magic. So let's try the same thing inside Perplexity as well. I'm just going to give up on ChatGPT operator because it seems to be, look at that. I've not even been away for 2 minutes and it's paused the task. It's just a total nightmare. All right, we'll try another one. That's what $2,400 a year gets you. ChatGPT Deep Research is still loading for 4.0. So, I mean, the thing about ChatGPT Deep Research is like, it's very, very thorough, but it's almost to the point where there's no information filter, right? It just gives you too much information. It's not very practical. And also, there's a massive limit on this. I think you only get like 30 searches per month, even if you're paying $200 per month. So it's not ideal, but let's just open up a new tab anyway. And we can come back to the other deep research report in a minute. So I'm going to open up a new tab. We'll select deep research and we'll do the same thing here. The key thing to note here is this is just like a deep research tool. Perplexity can do coding and deep research, but not deploy stuff. And it can't really browse live pages, right? So it's not going to like scroll through live pages in terms of like vision use. It's more like just doing Google searches. But with Manus, you can actually like see pages. It can do the deep research, it can code, and also is very quick. On top of that, it can also deploy, right? So it can deploy live domains. Kind of like Claude Artifact Scan, right? So for example, if you go into Claude, right? You look, for example, we've got a Super Mario Bros. Clone here that we created. And you can actually deploy this. So you can click on publish here, publish and copy the link, and then this will actually deploy to an artifacts feature, right? Which is pretty cool. And then you can just play the game and whatever. All right, I'll put that inside there. Well, it's already inside the AI profit boardroom if you want to see this cloned example. But within, for example, ChatGPT, within Perplexity, you can't do that. You can't deploy to subdomains. And inside Manus as well, it seems like you can as well. So here's the research that you've got back. It does give you a lot more updates. You can navigate the web. It gives you all the details. And then also the other biggest difference is like this can create downloadable files that you can just download and preview and everything else, right? So if we open up the SEO audit report, we'll download that, or we can just preview it, and you've got the report right here, right? Whereas if you go onto Perplexity, I mean, that's pretty good. I would almost say, like, if you compare the side by side, like, this is actually giving you, like, practical examples of how to improve the web page, what to do, technical SEO structures. I might even say, honestly, the Perplexity actually beats Manus in terms of the output set. So Manus gives us a few different HTML improvements and what we can do, etc. But actually, if you compare it, Perplexity gives us way more. So I'm going to put Perplexity number 1 there. Manus comes out second from what I can see. I mean, this is totally hopeless, right? Like, we've already told it what to do. And ChatGPT operator can preview in the browser, but it's so slow. So it's like, I found an SEO tool, audit tool called this. Should I proceed? And it's like, mate, we just told you what to do. So ChatGPT operator didn't even do it. I would put that as a fail, honestly. And then if we look, deep research is just going to take a long time. It is doing a lot of research there and it's analyzing everything. Maybe the report will be really good, but that's probably going to have to take another 20, 30 minutes. So I just think it's impractical in terms of speed, right? So in terms of all 3 tasks, Perplexity is coming out number 1. Manus comes out number 2. Operator, I would say, failed. And I mean, I'd have to guess here because I don't have enough time on the stream, but I would say ChatGPT deep research method probably comes out 3rd there. So that's pretty much it for me. If you want to get access to all of my best prompts, tips, strategies, agents, workflows, etc., feel free to get that. And we've also got a Manus AI section inside the AI profit boardroom, right? So if you want to run this stuff locally, based on what's worked for me, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description. I'll show you how to set this up. So you just go to Manus like so. So on the GitHub, which is, you know, all these links and everything else I've referenced today is inside the AI profit boardroom. And then, for example, we can grab this Let's go into terminal. We're going to set up Coda environment, like you can see. Then we can clone the repository directly from GitHub. And then we're going to run this like so. So we run the requirements. And then we're just going to run the Python code. I've already set up the AI configuration for this, so the API files and everything else. So it's going to take a little while for this to run. It's going to download and install the files here. Has it got stuck? Looks like it's still installing there. And then once you've done that, you would just set up the Python code like you saw earlier in the video. So it's still downloading there. And then you can just install your prompt, right? So for example, we can say create a 7-day plan for visiting Tokyo with a day-by-day breakdown of what to do each day and where to visit. Honestly though, like I think if I had to compare all of these, like I would genuinely say the local version is probably better than ChatGPT Operator, but it's way worse than the original version of Manus. But you can see here it has come back to us instantly with the files, right? So it's like, right, arrival and exploration of Shibuya, cultural experience, modern Tokyo and Shinku. So it comes back with the plan, which is pretty good. And it can do Google researches as well. So yeah. So that's pretty much it. There you got the demo. You got the setup instructions. You know how to set this up locally. If you want all the examples of how I set it up, you can get it along with the links to Discord, etc. And additionally, inside here, we've also included an example of how to set up, right? So if you want the open source section, I've got the step-by-step instructions of exactly how to install that with Claude. Along with that, it comes with all my best recipes on like AI agents, DeepSeek AI agents, etc. You've got a community where you can ask 288 people on how to set up AI. And this also comes with weekly calls with me inside the AI Profit Boardroom. The prices are going up on the 10th of March, which is tomorrow for me. And then this also comes up with, you know, all these different automations on like social media, email automation, web automation, AI agents, crash courses, etc. So loads of cool stuff there. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. On this free SEO strategy session, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 business a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a custom tailored game plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, answer any questions you have one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to quickly outrank your competitors with link building. And by the way, when you can ask those questions, like these are one-to-one questions where normally you would pay an SEO consultant like thousands of dollars for this, and you get it completely for free on this link building acceleration session. So if you want to get more customers for your website, if you want to rank #1 on Google, then feel free to book that in. And you've literally got nothing to lose by booking it in based on what's working for all our happy clients, like you can see. So feel free to book that in. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Today, I'm going to show you how to build and automate anything in one click using Manus AI. Now, this is a new AI agent that's just come out from China. It is absolutely unbelievable what it can do. For example, in one click, I just said, research Julian Goldie, build and deploy the best possible website you can about him. It went off, it did all its magic, browsed the internet, created the files, coded it, ran the terminal, and then we've got the website deployed and ready to go right there. Boom, shakalaka. And this website is better than any other agent that I've seen build out websites. You can see, for example, the content is comprehensive. It's personalized to me. This can also, for example, plan out whole trips. So I said plan a trip to Lower Manhattan in June. And this AI agent came back with better research than any other human that I've hired, right? It's absolutely terrifying how powerful this AI agent is. And it does everything in one click. You just say, do this. It's like, sure, mate, I'll do it. And I'll get it done right away. Like you can see, the tasks are actually executed almost perfectly. Here's another example. So we asked it to create and deploy the best and most useful tool you can for my SEO agency, Goldie Agency, this for lead generation. You can also work on multiple tasks at once. So for example, if we give this a prompt, and then we give this a prompt, it's like having a team of AI agents just go off and